Hey there, my name is Scott and I'm the lead designer of Mercenaries 2 World in Flames, and I'm here to introduce you to our very first Mercenaries 2 weblog. It's sort of a visual diary of the ongoing production process of a massive open world action game here at Pandemic Studios. So we've never really done a video blog before, and I thought it'd be kind of cool to start producing them along with the website rollout and start now until the end of production of Mercs 2 and give you sort of an up-close and personal look at all the various components that are assembled to generate one of these crazy next-generation action games. So, we'll show you the concept artists at work, show you a little bit about the world-building process, interview some programmers, maybe give you a tour around here at Pandemic Studios LA, take you into one of the crazy design meetings.
There's only one answer. Giant robots.
No, Brian, we are not putting giant robots in the game.
What's wrong with giant robots?
They're absurd. And what are we going to do after that? Ninjas?
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of man-eating spores, but...
And I'm sure we'll be able to oblige some of the requests from the web community for specific web blogs. So please bookmark our website and come back here on a regular basis for frequent web blog updates. In our next installment, we're going to give you a general overview of the world of Mercs 2 and talk about some of the key features that we've assembled for this next generation sequel. So that's it for our first web blog. It's pretty late at night here on May 6th, just before E3 2006, and the team is currently working real hard to try and generate something that you're going to find very special for E3 and will satisfy both new and veteran players of Mercs alike. So, thanks.
You're probably wondering why it's taken us so long to put up another weblog. Well, I don't know.
World Cup! World Cup! I mean, Mercs 2.
And they still wouldn't be ahead of Brazil, and so they'd still be advancing in second.
Right.
So.
What solved it for me was having my chair as low as possible. So like you kind of got this rather than this. Yeah. And I've been good for like 9 years or something after that.
We need to graph exactly what it is, the structure of what you want to do, and then we can implement it. So here we have this is a job part, and then that's followed by a, what is that?
Well, then I was trying to figure out what to do with it.
It is going to be using the industrial art group, right? So I've gone through and taken the liberty of going ahead and marking that in this group. We want an owner for each POI, and each owner to go down this list, because it's all in an Excel doc, basically, at this point.
That feels pretty generic.
Yeah.
That's illegal.
It's potential.
Yeah, it's potential. Yeah.
Is there any swords in the game?
Well done.
Yeah,
Okay. I have to say, I think the sword's my favorite.
I agree with that. The sword. I really like the sword.
How many people think the sword's the best one?
Whoa.
I won that one. Everybody.
Well, how many times can I vote?
I mean, it's well done and it looks like a tattoo.
It's a little fantastical and stuff, but I mean, it would, like on the forearm or something like that.
So are we ready for a final vote, guys?
Yeah, let's do follow.
All right.
Okay, so this one. All right, guys, we got our winner.
All right.
All right, thanks.
I mean, do we want widescreen though? Is that a good thing? We have two, but we're going to have 60 of them.
Right.
So we should go ahead and get it into whatever state we need it now. The blogs also need music. I had in mind, like for the for the first one, we're showing the names, almost kind of a and you have the name Cam, director, that kind of thing. All right, let's get started.
We hear thunder. You're coming to our super exciting meeting. Hi, my name's Cameron. I'm the director on Mercenaries 2. We got a meeting right now. Hey, I'm Will. I'm the art director on the side. I'm wrong technical director.
Hi, I'm Rick. I'm the associate producer on Mercenaries 2.
I'm Dave, and I'm the audio guy.
Dave, the program. I'm Ash. I'm an associate producer. Hey, I'm Scott. I'm the lead designer of Mercenaries 2.
I'm Victor. I'm sound whipping boy. Something whipping boy.
Well, you should be pissed at me, but I was.
Well, you didn't tell me.
Pissed at you for being pissed at me for being pissed at you.
I'm John. I'm the senior producer on the project.
So yeah, 4 hours.
It's in 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
2 is cut, it means the designers have to redesign something. So it isn't just that we cut the feature or cut the dude. We have to like sit back down and say, okay, now that we don't have this dude, what do we do to replace it? I'm assuming that's going to come up in the 4-hour meeting of doom.
Right.
Do you need some help, my friend?
Yes, sir.
So I guess Cameron just got here. So because I just sit in these chairs.
And then where you stand up like 6 hours later.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I've sat in those too. It's kind of like, oh, it's a couch. It's not quite what I wanted or expected.
And look, I'm going air-dried fruit trees. Will you try this?
Oh yeah, those are awesome. Does that come with a side of butter?
Listen, I put salt on the list and I put lard on the list. You can have your health food, you can have your junk food.
Salt of France. Are those dried raspberries? Yeah, air-dried raspberries. Look at the ingredients. I dare air raspberries. Pretty much it.
Yellow number 5.
Ooh, well, yeah.
All right, guys, let's get started. So this is really about going through all these features and assigning priorities to them, and making sure that we all kind of understand what these features are. So that said, the way that I'd like to do this is the priority we're going to give an item is going to also be in order of operation. So a priority 1 item happens in the next milestone.
But that one, there's 1.
Yeah.
So we should skip this.
0. I would say 3.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, actually no, 1. That's actually really good. 15 is 1. I don't know what that is. I can't give you a number.
Well, somebody have it written, right?
It's probably written by Tommy and added by Al.
Alright.
That's not.
Oh wait, before Eric goes, let's do debugging.
Thanks, Eric.
Dave, we were going to make all the sound determinant. We were actually in the process of cutting sound
about this
again.
meeting at all.
And I don't believe
Well,
it.
let's debugging it then. Who said that?
You!
I didn't say that.
Yes.
I said it's. I probably said it's design.
It's literally done.
No, I said it's design.
And you validated it.
Player to save those things out.
Yeah, but that's not. That doesn't match the comment that comes later.
I think this
This is confusing.
And where it came from.
And
Yes. Yeah, please.
Was that place good?
all right. So can we hear? Four.
It's sassy.
4.
9. W.
2. I want to 2 this.
Why the hell do we need that so early?
Right, and
So it's literally done.
no, I
said it was done though. I might have said it was.
You said try. I think the word was done.
Well, they have to understand. All right. Does anybody need to wee before we get in the game?
No, you're pushing through. You're not stopping for another restroom.
Go, go, go.
Hey, chick. Yeah.
You go on time.
You missed one.
I'm sorry, did you want me to be interesting? What?
It's a serious gig and it is rock hard. It's quite cool.
Yeah, everybody got it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was saying.
Hey, what's up with that blog about the leads? Like, I'm not on that blog. What the f is wrong with you? Like, I'm the assistant director. You don't know who I am on this team? How hard is it to just get a list and see who are the leads and film every single one? A monkey could do your job. I'm sick of people in this team calling me the ass director or the assistant to director. I'm the assistant director. Does it make sense to you? Here, come with me. Come with me. Do you understand the idea of a list? So you get everyone else except for the assistant director and what's your title, Austin? Is it the animator or is it the? I believe it's the lead animator.
Lead animator, yeah. My name's Austin. I'm lead animator.
If you make a list about the leads, if you're having a video about meeting the leads,
Yeah.
you think a complete list would include you, for example?
You think that, yeah.
What's up with that?
Hi, I'm Andrew, and I'm the lead vehicle artist on Mercenaries 2.
The bridge will still go down.
What if can you
fix some of the days of like?
Yeah, I need to turn her face off for certain.
That'd be nice, since I'm the assistant director. I do the same he does, right? Like I lead projects, I direct people, I manage, and so on. Show me doing cool man. I'm in meetings every day, all day. Look at this calendar.
Gamma Sutra.
Okay. And this is not completely done because we were working instead on stuff that we hadn't figured out.
There are floors in this already.
Within one.
Yes. So you should still be able to.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So what's he doing?
He's supposed to be. And it's getting kind of. Oh, here he is. Welcome.
Hey. Hold on 1 second. Let me back up a little bit. So, are you off this plan that was on the wiki?
The goal was to get the AI moving again in general.
Okay. Right. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that stuff. So this is the E3 presentation we gave back in May. What's happening here is this is Matthias Nielsen. He's returning here from the first game. So here Fiona's going to describe for us.
I just stole them. Sure.
Hey, welcome to video blog 6, I think it is, and we decided we're going to do a reoccurring series of developer answer question and answer session here for the video blog, and we've been doing it on the forums for a long time, and we thought, well, we'll do a few that are actually video blog question and answer sessions. So, Laszlo, here we are. We have a bunch of questions here, so I'm just going to pick randomly from things that we received on the forum and see what we got. So, Mr. Cheesy asks, Scott, about multiplayer, I just want to clear this up for myself. When you are stuck in the middle of a mission, can you get a second player in that mission to help you out? Well, Mr. Cheesy, you can have your friend jump in at any time in the game. Anytime that he wants to, he can jump in, plug the controller in, and help you out in your current session. If he dies, you can come over and revive him. You can just leave him there for dead if you want to. There's a myriad of different options for you, but yeah, you'll be able to jump in at any time. Merc Wannabe asks, what will the borders of the game have this time? A restricted area again, or walls or fences between countries, or something else? There'll be no limits this time around. The Viet Cong asks, on co-op mode, when somebody dies, does he just restart like in Mercs 1 when you die, or do both of you have to restart? Yes, if someone dies during co-op, you can just keep playing. One option that you have is if your friend has fallen in battle, you can actually go over and revive him. So you can basically bring your guy back to life, and you guys can continue playing as normal. You can leave him there for dead if you want. That's fine too. But if you want to keep moving in the game, you want to keep playing co-op, we're going to try and make it so that there's not going to be a lot of downtime for you. So no, you're not going to have to restart if someone dies in co-op. And the Vietcom also asks, can both of you in co-op be in the same vehicle at the same time? Yes. Turkman117 asks, can we strap C4 on things equals vehicles, buildings, etc., etc.? You're going to be able to do that and then some. There's something that's pretty special we have planned with C4 that I don't think that we've talked about just yet, but kind of use your imagination and think about all the things that you might be able to do with C4. Guinea Pig asks, will we be able to set mines and other traps? I already know they will be in the game. Well, presumptuous, but yes, you will be able to set traps in the game. You will also have to be on the lookout for enemy traps that you can, also disarm. Sea Dog asks, when we are in a big battle, can we start an LZ landing zone so we can have support troops come in and help you out? Yeah, in many cases, you'll actually have to create a landing zone for you to actually bring in support. So for example, there's a large section of the game that's covered in jungle, and before you'll be able to airdrop in supplies, vehicles, and ground units, you'll have to actually clear out a landing zone in the jungle. So the way that you would do that is you would use a foliage clearing support option like a daisy cutter. So first you drop that in, and then poof, there'd be a section of the jungle cleared out there for you now to bring in vehicles, air supply drops, that sort of thing. Amuro NT1 has a string of questions. One thing that bothered me about the first game was that the way you could always just buy your way back into a faction's good graces no matter what you did. Whether it was killing countless soldiers, destroying their vehicles, or even blowing up their HQ. Will this sort of thing be handled more realistically in the sequel? Yes. This time around, factions are not necessarily going to be able to just accept a bribe from you in order to get back into their good graces. You may have to jump through a few hoops before they're willing to work with you again. So there's going to be a lot more gameplay variety in terms of what happens when, or the consequences of what happens when you decide to screw with another faction. Are you guys keeping this game totally serious, or will there be room for silly bonuses such as ice cream trucks, riding mowers for vehicles, weapons that produce goofy sounds, strange effects, codes that turn civilians into clowns? I don't like clowns very much, etc. We like to think of Mercenaries as being fairly light in tone, and all of the game content that sort of revolves around, adding special funny things to the game or having, like special pickups, Easter eggs, that sort of thing. That's definitely something that we think is part of the first game and certainly will be part of the second game. So yes, there will be room for humorous content in the game. Let's see what we got here. Whoa. Mr. Cheesy. You have Mr. Cheesy already? Mr. Cheesy asks, hey Laz and Scott, what are your work hours? I can be in here from anywhere from 7 to 10 in the morning till depends on what the project's currently going. It might be a standard 8-hour day, or I might actually have to work pretty long hours, 12 hours, 13 hours a day, something to that effect, all for you. Laszlo, I don't know what his work hours are, but I understand the Slef does some evil things to him if he's not in here on time. Bandit requests, will there be a video blog on what happens in one day of making Mercs 2 and the studio? Sika asks, what programs are you using to create this game? Modeling, texturizing, compiling, etc. So we're using a collection of internally created tools and also a lot of third-party software to develop Mercenaries too. We're using programs like 𝚖𝚎𝚗𝚘 to do a lot of the art in the game, also Photoshop. Designers use a popular scripting language called Lua to script game content, missions, tell the AI what to do, etc. And the audio department uses a variety of third-party tools to create all the audio assets for the game. And then once all of these components are created in these disparate programs, there our Infinity World Editor, which is our own proprietary tool for generating content for our game. We use that sort of to use all of these components, put it all together in the game world, and then use that tool to process all of those components into usable game data that our Mercenaries 2 engine can use and become, play a game. As for Damien wants to know, there are a lot of young and aspiring game developers on these boards, and while you show what ultimately will make it into a game, you don't let us know that which doesn't make it in and how you come to that sort of conclusion. I guess what I'm asking is, would you let us in on the things that won't make it into the game and why? So what happens in the course of a typical video game production is in the very beginning, when the designers and the director come up with the ideas for the game, they often kind of shoot high, ambitious, and have a bunch of different things that they want to do.
Giant robots.
No. When you get about halfway through the production of the video game, you kind of know what the finish line is going to be. You know what your technology is like. You know what resources you have, and you know roughly what it's going to take to get the game done. So at that point, you kind of look at your features and say, are we going to have the time to polish this particular thing? Are we going to get more bang for buck out of including, these grenades over this particular weapon, etc. In video blog number 4, and actually alluded to in video blog number 3, we're actually going through a what we call a feature cut meeting, where basically we prioritize all the features that we have in the game and sort of look at our long-term schedule in terms of when the game is going to get done and be on the shelf, and basically come to the conclusion of what can and can't make it into the game. You kind of just go through the entire list of what you think that you can get done by the time the game's going to hit the shelf, and you have to make some hard decisions, and often there's some drag down, punch out meetings, and people have their own sacred cows they want to keep in the game. But
we're still working out some of the numbers, but it looks like we may have to cut about half the characters.
Yes! All right.
Great meeting, people.
It's something that happens in the course of every the development of every game, and what we don't add to the game or take out or etc. It's something that we're going to leave to you to mystery there. Blue Shark inquires, what percentage of the game production do you think is done? It's often tough to answer that particular question, just because the development of the game is dynamic, and it can be slow or fast depending on what's done in the current process of the game at the time. But oftentimes, games kind of linger around the 20-30% mark, and then once you go into full production, you have your tools and everything ready for people to implement content in the game. It kind of starts to go really fast. So we're kind of hitting production right now. So we've gone a substantial way in terms of creating the game, and there's still a long ways to go. So stay tuned. The Gamin' Pimp knows it ain't easy when he asks, what are some of the team's favorite games? You better say Mercs. Well, let's ask the team.
Currently, it's probably WoW.
Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube.
Right now, I'm playing a lot of Tetris DS.
Playing a lot of Tetris DS.
Mario DS. Do Super Mario Brothers, I'm sorry. I'm playing Half-Life 2, Episode 1. Amazing game.
Counter-Strike Source and Battlefield 2.
Black. Kick-ass game.
God of War. XCOM UFO Defense. Awesome.
Civilization. In every iteration.
I love Rez. Love anything with music. Guitar Hero.
Oh, Guitar Hero is also a fan favorite.
We'll try to kill Matt as many times as possible here. Oh, by the way, this is our favorite game. Oh, that was Scott. Matt, where are you? Oh, there's Matt. There's Matt. Bye, Matt.
It's definitely
Thanks. Oh, it was bad. That's very sad right there. You beat me in the last section. Dude, I was kicking your butt. So that's that's our first video blog Q&A session, developer questions and answer session. Once again, if you guys have any more questions about the game, we're going to do several of these, and we're also answering them on the forums. So please keep submitting the questions. I've got a lot of answers for you, and thanks for coming.
Faster, more intense.
Okay, I'll come back.
Filming our life tour.
Yeah.
Circle of life. It's not a
Completely useless.
Magic coffee. We want coffee.
I don't have a problem. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I didn't notice you there. Hi, I'm Jeff. I'm the operations assistant at Pandemic Studios, and I'm responsible for ordering the coffee and distributing the coffee. Coffee is, well, how shall we say? It revives our soldiers, such forth that they can create the brilliant games that they do. And it is my job to distribute the coffee and provide them with the specific kinds of coffee that they need in order to survive through the day. We have 4 delectable, delicious flavors of coffee that you can choose from. There's the Vienna decaf. There is the Guatemala dark blend. It's very good and dark. And then we also have a, how shall I say? It's called a North Beach blend. We like to call this the wusses coffee because it's not nearly as much coffee as the other blends and nobody really drinks it. And obviously because we're at a video game company, there aren't a lot of wusses here, so nobody's gonna be drinking that, you know what I mean? Also, our 4th blend is the Seattle blend, which is the most popular blend. In fact, there's a brew that we call the Programmer's Blend that uses a bag of Seattle blend and a bag of Guatemala blend, and they mix them together. So usually you only use 1 bag, but as programmers, they prefer their coffee a bit nuclear.
Coffee?
Yeah, coffee.
There's nothing more I enjoy than a nice, fresh, steaming cup of coffee in the morning.
Did you want your coffee, Joe?
Yeah, I did want my coffee.
Oh, look, I'm going as quickly as I can.
Push it.
Okay.
Load it. Faster. Do it.
What do you want? What do you want? Go through this, everybody!
I want to go through your job for you! That's what I want to do! Stop the coffee!
Oh my god!
There's coffee made. Never mind.
You shifting that
No harm, no foul, bro.
into it once better.
Yeah. Kind of hot. Thanks, Chef.
I really wish I had the time to go to the coffee fields and pick the specific beans to blend the coffee with, but unfortunately I've spent too much time distributing and organizing said coffee. Can I eat my cup of noodle now?
So, I'm Victor Phoenix. I'm the sound designer on Mercenaries 2. I worked on Mercenaries 1. I implemented the sounds into the game with our external sound developers. For the recording of the weapons in Mercs 1, that was done in a shooting range in the LA area with a professional shooter. Get a wide range of weapons, Dragunov, which I've never seen before. It's this huge sniper gun that we had in the game. An MP5, just a wide range of weapons, and he did single shots, multiple shots, and the recording was done from close, from distance. There was a lot of balancing, and they did really interesting impact stuff, which is why I have the door. This is the door from the Mercenaries 1 weapons recording session. Note the actuality of bullet holes. It was used to get car impact sounds for bullets. These were all the bullet holes that different size calibers that the shooter used. It was incredibly precise. This was a great day. Watermelons for flesh, bricks, barrels, so a really wide range of impact sounds, which is obviously a big part of Mercenaries, is bullets hitting things. Doing source recording for games is fairly similar to doing recording for films and for TV. The assets, though, once they're recorded, and it's the implementation that sort of brings it to this new level of sound design. So it's a balance between a creative engineering, recording, and getting good sounds, and getting excited about recording doors in weird places, and throwing trash cans out windows, and smashing boxes and rooftops and things like that, and then doing scripting and really interesting stuff in the computer. It's unique, unlike any other medium. Dave and I spent a lot of time wiring the sounds into the game, and adjusting levels, and listening back on different devices to make sure it sounded properly. Impact sounds, a lot of the chatter. It was a really interesting process. It's a very open world game, and anything can happen at any time, and did all the time. So it was a balance between fidelity and quantity. We could have lots of sounds playing at the same time from different sources, so we had to swap in and out banks of sounds based on what was playing, and that was a big challenge for everybody. So we had some really interesting dialogue for some great actors, and a widespread of sound effects. It was a nice palette. It was very enjoyable to work on. For Mercs 2, I am taking the creative lead, recording weapon sound effects and any other sounds in the game, working on the voice sessions. We're going to be doing a whole new set of recordings for weapons. We're going to an army base just outside of LA. We're really excited because the Army has some very cool weapons, and the Navy may be out there too, so we'll have some really big guns. My strategy for Mercs 2 is, since we have some bandwidth, we can have a lot more sound. And as many sounds as we had in Mercs 1, we have a lot more budget for sounds, memory budget. So I'm pretty excited to be able to have distinct sounds for every little collision and scrape, and you know, you knock a barrel into a piece of wood and it's going to sound like a barrel hitting some wood. That's the most exciting thing for me about Mercs 2, is the breadth that Havoc, you know, and the dynamics that Havoc collision will give us.
As far as character generation goes, I mean, next gen is a really big deal. The way that we work, the processes, and the overall quality is just a very large jump from what was previously possible.
Being next gen allows us to do lots of things to make our world seem much more believable. There were a few reasons why we decided to go next gen with Mercs. It wasn't just for cosmetic reasons. We felt like after the first game, we had really pushed the hardware as far as it can go. The real goal was to actually enhance the gameplay experience and give the player more interaction with the world around them. We're going to talk a little bit about old Matthias versus new Matthias, and what are some of the changes that we've actually made to the model to bring him to next gen quality. With the original Matthias, funny enough, we actually based him on one of the guys who used to work here, this guy 𝚖𝚎𝚗𝚘. We actually took some photos and we turned him basically into a mercenary. So we added the knife and the turtleneck and the combat boots. Actually, the combat boots were really 𝚖𝚎𝚗𝚘. Now if we take a step into the future, we have new Matthias. And we've really tried to push hard on the whole outlaw, bounty hunter kind of look. We kind of covered him in tats, giving him an edge and a kind of swagger that he didn't really have in the first game.
So this was the old gen Matthias. He used about 3,000 triangles, and so, you know, we've now got more than double that in the new one. This is the new Matthias model that we've been working on, and one of the challenges of working with next gen assets is the level of realism that we can now accomplish with characters. Before, you know, you were generally looking at characters that were maybe around, you know, 1,500 to 3,000 triangles, depending upon the type of game. And now we've suddenly, you know, exploded pretty much into a new generation, and you know, now we're able to deal with ranges from 10,000 all the way up to 20,000 triangles for next-gen characters.
Just to give you guys a little bit of comparison between Mercenary 1 models and Mercenary 2 models, characters in Mercs 1 were between 1,000 and 3,000 triangles. In Mercs 2, really pushing that to the limit, so we have our characters anywhere between 8,000 and 13,000 triangles. Actually, there's quite a fun fact, which is basically there's more geometry in 𝚖𝚎𝚗𝚘's hair now than there was in one of the major city block assets in Mercs 1.
The amount of shaders and lighting that this character has, I mean, this is just in the real-time viewport, this isn't even in the game yet, and yet you can already see the huge differences in terms of like the skin shine, specular, the glasses, the way the reflections handle on it. Part of the thing that also makes it really cool is all the different shaders and the different lighting effects that we can throw at the character to make them even look amazingly detailed and much more realistic than what has been possible before. So this is an example of the shaders. You can see that it's kind of, you know, the shaders are much less realistic. It's got a lot of like kind of shiny, you know, specular map and stuff. It's not nearly as detailed. So with the next gen assets, you know, we can actually focus on skin pores and colored specular and a bunch of other things which were just impossible on Xbox and PS2. Null mapping allows us to basically create the folds on the cloth. It allows us to create a separate layer. I mean, if I was to turn this off, if you can see just, this is just the basic texture here, right? Which is just, it's called the diffuse texture, and it's just pretty much what old gen kind of stuff looked like, where you paint the stuff and that would be it. You'd be pretty much done at that point. With the next gen stuff, now you can see the difference when we add the specular and the shader and the rest of the stuff, that it really just punches everything out. Here's like some of the skin shine. You can see the way that the light is responding to the skin. You can see some of the details here on the veins. He's got some stuff here. You can see like on the leather here the different kind of colors and stuff that we have that are able to catch stuff. So you can see like how it fades from a little bit of yellow to reddish tones and stuff. So it's not just a flat color. Same thing with like and these glasses, they have the actual real-time reflections in them now, so you can actually see, you know, like a desert terrain horizon kind of thing in the glasses. And eventually, you know, we're going to be able to have like cloth movement on the character. We're going to be able to have individual pieces like this chain. He has this kind of like chain on his pants and stuff that will be able to move, along with individual packs that he has like on his back and stuff. And then in the past it would used to be where if you had buttons or if you had small little details, you would just texture it. Now you actually have to model and make those details to really happen. It's a lot of fun actually to work, to be freed to do a lot of assets like that. It's a lot more work, and it presents a whole new range of challenges.
Hello, welcome to Pandemic Studios. For those of you who've been following our video blogs, we've shown you a lot of different places in the studio, and now we're going to give you a proper tour, start to finish. Starting on the 19th floor, which is our main floor, of 3 floors, encompassing 50,000 square feet of floor space. For those of you who don't know, Pandemic Studios is located in the heart of Los Angeles, in the middle of Westwood Village, specifically. So let's start the tour. Follow me. We've tried to design the floor plan of the studio to be a good creative environment to work in, where people can have enough privacy to work on their own, and yet the office is still open to a teamwork atmosphere, so that people can turn around and easily talk to each other and interact to work throughout their daily lives, and yet have enough room to sit quietly, listen to some music, have their own space. The studio has been the setting of numerous press events, obviously showing off lots of our games, and at one point I think we were invaded by stormtroopers. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but we also have several fully functional, multifunctional, very modern, fancy, some might even say swank, meeting rooms, like this one. This is the Pandemic Studios presentation room, where we make our game presentations to publishers and many other important projects. It's also the best place in the company to watch Monday Night Football.
You can't have that. You can't have that in here. Turn it off, please. You can't. Look, we got unannounced project on 19, unannounced project on 18, unannounced project on 16. You can't have that in here. Go to the light. You can show the reception area. You can go down to the recording studio. You can show the presentation room if you want to. Look, you cannot move. Turn that thing off. Turn it off. Turn it off.
Hey, Blood Boy, what are you doing over there? Come on, come on. So I've got something else important and interesting to show you. This door leads to our server room. This is where we back up all the data for the games that are being created. So there's all kinds of important stuff in here. Mercenaries 2 lives in here currently, and wow. It's so important, they won't let me in. Well, now that my hair's done, let's go to the 18th floor. The 18th floor was also the former location of the Star Wars Battlefront team. So this is where all that was created. As I said, now it's ultra secret projects.
I mean, there's definitely cool stuff going on.
Let me put it this way, Dan. No. Let me put it this way. Did you play the game? Unfortunately. Did you watch the movie?
No.
But there are other more important things down here, like our snack machines and ping pong table.
Too bad. That's when I shine. 1-0.
So there's an ongoing ping pong tournament and the all-important snack machines. Can't make games without your occasional influx of starch, salt, and sugar, all of which are available in this machine, as well as your lovely sodas. And here, once again, is one of our more notorious break areas. I know it doesn't look like much now, but there was something of an incident here a few weeks ago involving coffee.
No, that's what I want to do! I stopped the coffee! Oh my god!
It was ugly, feelings were hurt, it's okay now. The 18th floor is also the site of our brand new recording studio, which is where we've recorded all the sound for Destroy All Humans 2. And it's great to have that functionality in the building as well, so we don't have to leave the building to do any recording. And here we're on the 16th floor. It's another new project area. I think this is Project X. Maybe it's a Project Y. I don't remember. Either way, we can't tell you about this one either right now, but news is coming someday.
Just curious about it.
Now whenever you're showing stuff.
Oh, AC/DC. Going.
Hard. It's hard. Oh my god.
Data. And this is the always important IT department. Oh yeah. These guys keep the whole company running and provide much needed comedic relief. Which is, I'm sure, just what they needed to hear today. I'm sure they're very busy. Woo! And here's the other half of the 16th floor. Some might call it the business end of the 16th floor. Come on in. In this end, we have some of the more proper business facilities. We've got human resources down at the other end. We've got some accounting people, Office of the President, more of the lobby area. And then we get down to one of my favorite parts. This would be known as the creative resources area, where we help with the creative resources that any other department in the company needs. It is also the lair of the Sleph.
We're kind of at a hub of a lot of activity. There's always something going on.
Living next to work is absolutely fantastic. It's a great area.
It's a nice, safe place to work, gorgeous scenery, and there's great places to actually live here that's cool. Walk to work, go home at lunch, have food.
We have a lot of food areas around us. We have a Best Buy that's right next to us.
There are places to shop. There's a bookstore, there's a video game store, there's clothing stores for girls because there's lots of cute boutiques. There's hair places, nail places, bars.
There's Greek, there's Italian, there's sandwiches, there's Hawaiian, there's sushi, there's teriyaki, there's Chinese, there's Indian, there's In-N-Out. For example, here we have Angelino's, a fantastic Italian eatery that is just across the street from our building. Many people frequently eat here or get takeout food from here. They have excellent sandwiches, pasta. Plus, we have a 10% discount as Pandemic employees. It's just one of the perks of the job.
So you can go to the gym. There's a bar nearby that we always get together and try and get together every Friday and go and have some drinks.
Pandemic has a lot of extracurricular activities that they've got going on. There's a soccer team, there's a softball team.
For my lunchtime, there's a sweet park right across the street, and we do basketball Tuesdays and Thursdays. And on Wednesdays, we do softball. We get about 20 guys together and get ourselves a kick-ass softball game.
Me and this other guy from work, we go jogging every day after work. We go around the UCLA campus, about a 3.5 mile jog. Very, very good, very, very healthy. Keeps us in shape.
And beautiful UCLA campus students.
Oh, and of course there's UCLA, college girls.
There's a lot of really good-looking college girls, and that always adds to the scenery.
We're right by UCLA and all sorts of young, jockey college guys that I wouldn't be interested in, but they're all over the place.
We're right next to UCLA. There's lots of girls. I went to a college party last week, and it was pretty cool, because I'm not in college.
There's movie theaters all over. There's at least 2 or 3 within walking distance.
We've got UCLA right up the street. We've got a museum down the other way, so there's always something to do.
There's a lot of things to take you away from work, so that's why it makes it sometimes a little bit more difficult to focus, but we're all professionals and get the job done.
To our second developer question and answer session. My name is Scott, or Jack Skellington for today. We decided to collate another batch of your questions from the forums, and Laszlo has them here. Or to pick from another batch that we have here. This is fantastic. Let's see here. All right. From Sea-Dog, will there be a Moab bomb, and can we use it as support? Yes. Yes. Second question, will there be modern pirates in the game, and could they be called the Pirate Mafia? Please answer. Thank you. Well, we had sort of a modern pirate in Mercs 1, the Russian Mafia, and there'll be some sort of modern pirate in Mercs 2 that you can expect. So, yes. Let's see what we have here. Whew, my joints. Oh, Diesel wants to know, will you be using the fog trick again, and will you have different stuff? Well, the fog trick in Mercs 1 was a bit of a limitation of the technology at the time. And the nice thing that we can tell you for Mercs 2 is that there will be no fog all over the world. You're going to be able to have this incredible view distance where you're going to be able to see cities and mountains and lakes and bridges all in the distant horizon without ever feeling like you're sort of claustrophobic and have the fog all around you at all times. Glitchnikov wants to know, Scott, can you add the video blogs in game, as a bonus or extra features? I hope so. We're filming these things with the intent of putting them in widescreen for all of you people who have HD TVs out there so it doesn't look like crap. So hopefully you'll be able to see all 60, 70, 100 of these that we do, however many it is, in glorious HD. Scott, can we take people hostage? You won't specifically be able to take people hostage or human shields or anything to that effect, but you will be able to rescue and capture people in the game. Merc for Liff wants to know, are there going to be cool Easter eggs in Mercs 2? I've been a fan of Easter eggs since Atari's 2600 Adventure, and I don't think we'd ever put a game in without Easter eggs in it, so yes, you can expect Easter eggs in Mercenaries 2. Oh wait, he also wants to know, will there be more airstrikes, and if so, what will they be? You can expect a ton of airstrikes, more than what you had in the first game probably. The actual particular airstrikes we aren't ready to say yet, but there's going to be quite a few, and they're going to be fantastic in next generation and all that good stuff. All right. Here we go. Bubba wants to know, Scott, out of 1 to 10, how good would a car be able to be torn apart, such as if you throw a grenade under the car, will the axles and car parts fly out? We're going to have very robust car destruction in Mercs 2. You'll be able to destroy cars, vehicles, boats, tanks, etc. in a myriad of different ways, and depending on how you go about it, you're going to have a much different explosion, different parts are going to fly off, etc. So, a 10. Ah! Zero wants to know, can you store vehicles in the garage to pick up later? You will be able to store vehicles in your structure that you occupy to create your PMC with. So yes, you'll be able to store vehicles in the game. And he also wants to know, will you be able to get in the gunner seat and have people drive you around, or able to get a gunner? I get so frustrated when I can't gun and get someone to drive. Well, the good news is that in co-op, you'll be able to do this anytime you want to. If you have a vehicle that has a turret position, one of you can drive and one of you can get in the turret spot. SS-109 wants to know, will there be cops in the game? There's going to be some form of law enforcement in the game. Breaking the law. And what about the car gas issues? Cars will not require fuel. However, airstrike support will indeed require fuel. In fact, that's the main reason you use fuel and acquire fuel in the game, is that this time around in Mercs 2, airstrike support options require fuel consumption. Will you be able to order tanks from the support shop and attack helicopters as well? Of course. I'm never going to say no to you. All right. From Sandwich Merc, Scott, say you blow half of the bottom of a skyscraper away, will it collapse and fall over or just sit there? Damage on buildings really depends. It's really it's far more robust than it was in Mercs 1. The specifics of exactly what's going to happen with building destruction, we can't talk to you about yet, except to say that if you can imagine all the manner and ways that you could take down a building from Mercs 1, where we just kind of go down one way, there's going to be a myriad of different things for you to do this time around to structures. Have you ever tried to work with hands like these? Chris Jacobs is asking me a question. When you guys are finished with the game and you're, wait a minute, let me paraphrase Chris here. He's basically asking if we're going to need video game testers. And yeah, we will definitely need video game testers. If testing is something that's interesting to you, you can certainly apply to test on a game like Mercenaries 2. Now, typically, a publisher of a video game handles the testing effort. So when Mercenaries 2 announces a publisher, at that point in time, you can contact that publisher and say, hey, I want to test games for your, for your company, and maybe if you get lucky, you'll be able to work on the team with the likes of people like us. Dr. Hobo wants to know, Scott, who do you think is the sexiest actress in Hollywood? And I say, this is a nerdy answer, but probably Grace Park from Battlestar Galactica. The Game and Pimp wants to know, what are some of your favorite game companies? Let's see here. Well, I grew up really loving Origin Systems. That's probably my favorite game company of all time. Obviously, I like Blizzard a lot. Retro Studios that make the wonderful Metroid Prime series are fantastic. Bungie make my favorite game of them all, Halo. I have a special affinity for 𝚖𝚎𝚗𝚘𝚗𝚘, who many of the people who work there I used to work with a long time ago, and they make great games. Buy them all. BioWare, obviously, our new fun partners from the north, make a lot of fantastic games. Perhaps that's it. Any more questions from you? Okay. Well, thank you for checking out our latest video blog, our question and answer session. We're going to do more of these in the future. However, not next time at considerable embarrassing cost to myself. And I bid you adieu. Please submit more questions. Please continue to come to the community and interact. We love reading everything you have to say. Thank you. And by the way, happy Halloween. Yes, next time, tell them I want to do something with dignity.
Pandemic has a lot of extracurricular activities that they've got going on. There's a soccer team, there's a softball team, and there's also a basketball team. And now one of our players has found out that there's another basketball team from 𝚖𝚎𝚗𝚊𝚌𝚎, which is another developer in LA. They were talking a little smack, and so we've been talking a little smack back. So we thought we're gonna play them in a showdown at 8 o'clock tonight.
I know they should be afraid. I know they should be afraid of what Pandemic has to offer, because we will dominate them on the court.
This is our first time playing against another developer.
Never played before, so we don't know what to expect, but it should be a good game.
It's going to be interesting tonight, and after we beat them up, we're going to play against Treyarch or EA next.
Well, I'm not a regular basketball player with the rest of the guys. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would play with them if I had time, but with all of my, well, coffee duties and other things. Pandemic Studios, how can I help you? I just don't really have the time, so I just play softball on Wednesdays. But this is a really important game, so I thought I'd step it up and be there for the guys.
As a sign of solidarity, we decided we're all gonna wear our trusty Pandemic t-shirts today.
Yeah, it would be what?
I'm gonna be wearing this tonight.
We feel confident about our chances. Trito hooked it up for us, so now we gotta deliver and make the company proud.
It'd be good practice.
Now let's see what you can do.
Yeah, man. Even hand, ambidextrous.
Only way to ball, you gotta go Velcro. Lace is not required. We're gonna take our time, we're gonna be methodical about this, we're gonna go to the other court over here, and we're gonna come up with a game plan for tonight. So, we have yet to be an effective fast break team. Game plan for tonight, we want to stick to what our strengths are, right? We're gonna be our center. So that's why I was saying, you know, this fadeaway stuff.
Oh, come on. Dude, I've been practicing all day.
Our three strengths are the mid-level jumper,
Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty.
I prefer like Han to be the other ball handler, depending on how good they are.
And then we're not sure what to do with you.
Like a small forward.
Did we let us bring our Pandemic t-shirts?
Yeah, but that's...
So I cut off my sleeves this morning. And probably we can get you one for $6. Practice was good, it was light, it was... some people worked out a little harder than I would have liked.
Ankle's doing good. It's getting better. I'm just icing my knee from practice right now.
Without knowing our competition and never seen them play, don't know how tall they are, don't know anything about them, I would say I feel pretty confident, just because I know we have some pretty good guys.
I got more info on those guys, and they have 4 guys over 6 feet. They're supposed to be pretty good too. They play all the time at lunch. It's not going to be a slaughter anymore. It's probably going to be a game. It's probably be a close game.
You know, I think it's going to go really well tonight. I think we're going to dominate, actually. Here we go to the Pandemic 𝚖𝚎𝚗𝚘𝚗 basketball game. I've been told we have a court reserved for us, so it's going to be great. You know, real simple, real easy to get on the court, and here we go.
Wait, were they saying they were going to come out Thursday at noon? The West Coast work?
We're just talking about Plan B if that doesn't happen. But for sure, we'll play on
Okay.
Thursday.
Usually at noon, not all the courts are full anyway.
Yeah.
Thursday. You're in the THQ building, right?
No, we're at the Howard Hughes Plaza.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, for sure, like this Thursday, if you guys want to come at lunch.
How long would you want to play then? Just for like an hour at lunch or 2 hours? We're gonna try to.
Yeah, I would just say
we get 1 hour for lunch, but we could beg for more and get it for special occasions. I guess we're gonna try to find another time and reschedule it maybe for this indoor court if it's available.
Yeah,
Is it reserved?
it's always available.
It's empty now because for the last few months it was closed. Good night. Some little Too bad it didn't work out. Oh, all right. I guess we'll meet up Thursday.
Oh, this Thursday?
Yep.
You wanna know what I do, right? The way I explain it to my folks, because they got no idea about very little idea about computers and stuff, is I tell them it's my fault, right? You know, if something goes right, that's the team, they did it, that's awesome. If something screws up, that was me, I did it. My job is director, it has a name, which is kind of translates to creative director here at Pandemic. So the way we kind of do things is we have a creative director, that's me, and we have a senior producer, that's like the money guy, you know, the evil bean counter. My job is to make the game cool. That's my job. And then the producer's job is to make sure the game ships, make sure it gets done, make sure it gets done on time, on budget. So he does all the hard stuff. I just kind of sit around going, wee, wouldn't it be fun if like things blew up and everything went everywhere? That's the big picture of it. And then obviously that breaks down into a huge array of day-to-day stuff. We have a huge bunch of really talented people on the team, and you know, every one of them, when they come to work in the morning, they need to have a clear picture of, you know, what it is we're trying to do, how they're contributing to it, where their piece of things fits into the overall puzzle that forms a modern video game. You know, these things are big and complicated. So, you know, I really work with the leads that we have and really try and clarify on a day-to-day basis just what the hell it is we're doing, you know, what it is we're trying to make. And so I try to really boil things down to kind of really big, simple concepts that everyone can kind of go, oh yeah, I get that. That'd be cool. Let's make that game. In any creative endeavor, you've kind of got to put something first, and then everything else has to kind of follow on. In something as complicated as a movie or a video game or something, you know, very elaborate, you can afford to have a few things that are, you know, your kind of creative anchors. We call them pillars. You know, we have an internal document that's like, here are our pillars. You know, the things that if you took away this pillar, the structure would collapse. You know, the roof would fall in. And one of our pillars is destruction. Unprecedented, unparalleled, next generation destruction of everything that you can see, look at, smell, touch, experience. That's like one of our foundation concepts. And so that's a development focus, and that's something that, you know, being able to bust up everything in the world and have all of these cool weapons and vehicles and explosives and really try and create interesting tactical gameplay around that destructive capacity is something that informs a lot of our design decisions. And so every day, you know, when someone's, you know, working on what even might be kind of an unrelated feature like car physics or you know, like human physics or something, you know, some part of the game that may not be immediately directly related, they've always got in the back of their mind, destruction's really important. Am I doing something that's going to, you know, detract from destruction, enhance destruction? If people understand what are the really important, you know, you can't challenge these parts of the game, it really helps them, you know, bring things to my attention. They're like, hey, you know, I thought destruction was a pillar. How come we're not doing this? Or how come we are doing that? You know, that's of extreme value to me. You know, there's only so many hours in the day. I'm a very lazy person. Most of my time I'm just sitting around web browsing, and I wait for the team to come to me and say, hey, I thought this was important. Shouldn't we be doing something? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. Can you take care of that for me? And just come back and tell me when it's awesome. That's kind of on a more practical level what I do is web browse. I see my job partly as an editorial role where like everyone on the team has a chance to make a major contribution to the game. And you know, that sounds like kind of a cliche, right? That sounds like, oh, I want to give everyone credit. It's honestly true. Like everyone's work is visible in the final result. As you experience the various parts of Mercenaries or any game, you know, you're really seeing the work of, you know, nowadays
50, 70, 90, 100 plus people, you know, it's a huge endeavor. So I have an editorial role in that I kind of, you know, make sure all of those pieces fit together, but then I also have a kind of an interpreting role, because I work with the upper management here at Pandemic Studios, who are a bunch of really creative, really talented guys who are very enthusiastic about creating games that people want to play. You know, those guys are really helpful at giving me as a director perspective on, you know, the big picture of the game. I get very close, you know, anything that you work on, you tend to get very close, and every so often you've got to take a step back from the canvas, you know, and kind of see it with the eyes of, you know, the audience and the player who's going to buy the game and who wants to have a great experience. We have shared goals for the game. You know, we want it to be popular and successful. We want to get great reviews. We want it to be fun. We want it to hit on, you know, the pillars. We want to hit on all these various things. And yeah, I'm accountable now for making sure, as best I can, that those things happen. So no, I mean, if people think like, oh, you know, if you're a video game director, don't you just get to just run around sprinkling magic fairy dust on everything? Well, yeah, you do, but that's not all of it, you know. Your magic fairy dust comes in, you know, portions. There's like containers, and if you run out, you've got to go, please sir, can I have some more? You know, it's not like endless supply. Some people think it's an endless supply of fairy dust. If you know where to get an endless supply of fairy dust. Seriously, the most fun thing I do in any given day is play the game. I always tell people, like, I can tell when things are going well when I have time to play the game. You know, I just sit there and I play it and I start, you know, giving feedback and saying we should tweak this that way, tweak this that way. And when we've got trouble in some area, I get sucked into that and I got to go figure out what's going on. But yeah, when things are cruising along nicely, I get to spend hours playing the game, and that's a lot of fun. I like that. You know, I've been doing this a long time now. I've been working in the games industry since something like 92, so I guess like 14 years. I'm pretty old, actually pretty old. And during that time, the number one problem I've seen in developing games, this is something that I've been a party to and guilty of many times, is just seeing communication diverge. You know, as you work on a game for 18 months, 2 years, however long it might be, everyone kind of gets into a different state. You know, like, you know, group of artists working on this, group of designers are working on this, everyone's all over the place. Someone needs to be kind of unifying that and kind of periodically reminding people, hey, we're working on, you know, this game that has a certain focus, a certain reason for being, and that's really the director's job, you know? Set the direction, and everyone else kind of does their part to get us to the destination. Come in.
Sir? Got your coffee?
I'm being interviewed, right?
Sorry. 2 sugars.
How many sugars?
2 sugars, no cream.
2 1/4 sugars. You know that. Leave it. It'll do. It's fine. You know, I tell you, you know, then there's some people who aren't doing their piece, you know, to advance us down that road. Making games these days is very much an art and very much a science. These games now are so much bigger than what one person can just sit and conceive. You know, you really have to leverage the creative resources of the team. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. And I'm very big on embracing compromise. You know, you've got to embrace compromise, or otherwise compromise will be thrust upon you, you know, and you won't like the results. Often I'm just like, wow, that's great, keep doing that. But yeah, sometimes I've got to go, hey, you know, I really think we need to spend another week on this. Someone's got to say, hey, I don't think that's working yet, or I think we need to put more effort here. John, our senior producer who I work with on a day-to-day basis, he and I, we share a philosophy that, you know, we really trust our senior and extremely talented people. You know, we try and set the goals and try and give very clear direction. Let's use a simple example. We really need this tank to blow up in a really cool way, right? But then, you know, we just hand it over to them and make it their effort, and you know, it's really something that they have a lot of autonomy to kind of run with. And 99% of the time, what the team comes back with when we've set up the goals correctly really blows us away. You know, they really kind of just get in there and they do work, you know, beyond what I could have ever thought of anyway. So I'm kind of pretty big on sort of trying to be realistic and trying to take on compromise and use it as something inspiring. It's this really amazing kind of triangle, like you gotta imagine a triangle, right? And here at this apex, you've got, like, you know, creative concerns, right? So, I mean, my job is very much to do with creative stuff. Obviously that's fun stuff. But then down here in this apex, you've got technical challenges, right? The different hardware, all the programming languages, you know, stuff that every game developer deals with. And then over here on this apex of the triangle, you've got commerce and you've got the commercial aspect. You know, you've got the game as a product, and in a crowded marketplace with thousands of games out there, what is it that's interesting about your game and that makes people want to play it? You know, why do you want to devote your time, energy, and attention to this specific game? And so I find this really great and interesting challenge in balancing out the creative, the commercial, and the technical aspects, and that makes me happy. You know, how should people get into the industry? If you want to be a director, I mean, it's a bunch of things. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a good person to say whether or not some of these game design degrees and stuff are a good idea or not. I don't have a lot of direct experience with them. I think they're very interesting. I certainly didn't do that, but then they didn't exist when I started in the industry. So I think I would say come in at the ground floor of game development and spend some time learning how things work at the most basic level. You know, how games get assembled, how they get tested, how the content gets made, how everything fits together. You know, I value that experience that I had. You know, I spent a couple of years in QA just testing games, and let me tell you the most important thing I learned from QA. People in my position now, you know, the directors and producers on a game, often don't know what the hell they're talking about. You know, I would be in QA and I'd be like, this thing's completely busted up and all screwed up. You know, like it's no fun, it doesn't make sense, everything's upside down and, you know, all weird colors. And I would hear the director or the producer walking past going, well, yeah, everything's great, it's all wonderful and excellent. I'd be like, really? So that's something that I try and remind myself every day, is that you've really got to walk out there and talk to people and try and understand really what people are seeing. Ultimately, you need to be someone who's going to be able to communicate and who's willing to kind of talk to people and be very kind of outgoing, because a lot of what I do is talking to people. It really is. You know, I talk myself hoarse every day and I send a lot of emails. And then the last thing I would say is I think it's kind of important for a director of a video game, particularly in this day and age when the palette of what games are about is so broad. And I've worked on everything from, you know, games where you play a talking horse and you have to go rescue woodland creatures, you know, with your hooves, through kind of weird space adventures and through to sports games, and now to a game where you're like, you know, a hired maniac with, you know, access to high-grade explosives. And something that's very helpful is just traveling around a little bit, seeing parts of the world, and kind of getting yourself outside your comfort zone sometimes, so you can kind of experience the world from a few different viewpoints. I think is kind of critical for making modern games. You know, because whether you're going to make, you know, Katamari and something abstract, or whether you're going to make something hyper real like Madden, it's really important to have a breadth of experience that you can bring to bear on that, and so you can understand it in different ways. I think if you're too focused in on any one thing, you might miss opportunities to kind of make interesting creative leaps from one kind of perspective to another. I'm confusing myself now.
What do I want for Christmas? I think a waffle maker. I do like waffles. Waffles are yummy, they're hot, and you can eat as many of them as you can possibly shovel in. Belgian waffles, I think. Belgian waffles win out. They have better texture on them, I think.
What would I like for Christmas? I would like a dreidel and some Hanukkah gelts and a menorah and a yarmulke. Maybe you're realizing that I don't want Christmas presents. I would like a unicorn and all these bugs to be fixed now. But I'd really rather just have a unicorn.
I want a kick-ass stereo to match my brand new 52-inch plasma.
I need a new computer.
New basketball.
A lighter fluid and a match?
Titanium shoulder joints. 2 of them. One for here, one for here.
PS3. I want a PS3. I would like a PS3 and not have to pay for it. That would be fantastic. I actually lost one at the company party. I was like a couple numbers off. Laura was actually 1 number off. That would have been awesome.
I want to be able to play Mercs too. The designers to be quiet.
Really nice dustbuster. I've got everything I could ever possibly want, except they're good. I'm burdened with dust.
Isn't that like that's the sign of transition to adulthood, right? Like when you're a kid,
yes,
like you're asking for like games and toys for Christmas, but when you get to 30, you have enough disposable income where you're like, well, I already got what I want, so get me socks, underwear.
I could really use some socks.
Yeah.
I'll take a copy of Mercs 1.
Someone may actually know how to do that. No wishes. World peace, yeah, that's it.
PS3 or a Wii. Let me take that back. A Wii. Honestly, I just want a Wii. That's all I want.
I want world peace. World peace and a Wii.
I want to get a Wii, but I don't know. What I really want is Guitar Hero 2 on the Xbox 360 with downloadable songs.
I want an M1 Garand, original U.S. military issue, served in World War II. It's the first semi-automatic rifle issued on a wide basis to troops in World War II. 8-shot clip, 30-06 caliber.
Coffee.
Hanukkah and Christmas, both starting with CH. Coincidence?
Well, what more can you say about Jeff? He's a hero to people that drink coffee. I don't personally drink coffee, so good luck, Jeff. Have fun.
Wait, you mean Jeff's not gonna be here with us anymore? Why didn't anybody tell me? This is crazy, man. I mean, who came up? Please, put that thing away. No,
Friday is my last day as operations assistant here at Pandemic Studios. You know, it's been a good 11 months. You know, I've really enjoyed working here. All the different duties that I've had, obviously the coffee stocking was really what kept me here. Somewhere down the road it just started to lose meaning, you know? I didn't get that rush that I used to. So I thought, okay, well, maybe if I made some changes, I'd feel better again. You know, I cut my hair. I got a Nintendo Wii. Yeah, that was great, you know? I mean, none of it made any difference. So here I am, moving on to something bigger and better, one would hope, you know?
Jeff's leaving? Dude owes me money. Where's he going?
He only knows how to make coffee. This is the best gig he's gonna get. You know how important that kitchen is right there?
Who's Jeff? His effort was what legends are made of.
What?
I never said that because I truly believe that, you know, things shouldn't be handed out. You know, it has value. It has value to me.
I value them because they are filling my empty shelf space.
No, that doesn't sound like a good man. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I mean, taking up valuable space. Think about what you said right there.
Well, we're paying for it. If we threw those away, those shelves would be empty.
Oh my God. Trust me to handle money like this. Let's try it. In order to keep the lifeblood flowing, one must play ping pong.
So Jess, been nice been working with you.
Yeah. Likewise, John.
You know, I hear Craigslist is a good place.
Oh. Thanks. Well, it's my last day. Oh. Huh. Hey.
Hi.
Oh. Get out of your hair.
Thanks.
Good luck with everything, man.
Yeah.
So I thought something that would be fitting for this circumstance would be for me to read a poem that I wrote that it's just Lo, how my coffee has thrived, creating a land of of great splendor. But now I must go and move on to a place that feels safe and so tender. So coffee, don't hate me too much for losing that spark and enjoyment. Instead, wish me luck in the future to keep me from long unemployment. Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. I'm Jeff James, production coordinator here on. I coordinate production, essentially. Can I get back to work now?
Alright, well, so we're gathered here this morning because we've got a large and important announcement. I know a lot of people have been pondering and wondering about whether this announcement was coming, and I guess all of those people were right. So today we're announcing that we're making Mercenaries 2 World in Flames for the Xbox 360.
And the PlayStation 2.
And the PC.
And of course, as we've been talking about all along, the PlayStation 3. So it's coming to you in 4 delicious flavors. So get excited.
Can't believe you guys didn't figure it out by now with all those 360 controllers in our video.
I know all those subtle hints.
Kudos to those of you who did catch us in our wily little tricks.
But you didn't catch us when we actually had the PCs up there right now, did you? You just saw the 360 controls.
Pandemic's historically been a platform agnostic developer. I think that's the plan moving forward. You know, it kind of gets our games out to the maximum possible audience and gets it into everyone's hands. And that's, at the end of the day, that's the goal. We want as many people as possible playing our games, having fun, and blowing it up.
The next gen SKUs are all going to be, feature-wise, we're trying to make them identical. We feel like Mercenaries is such a great experience that we want all of our fans to enjoy deeply. The PS2 version, obviously, because of the less memory and not as fast processor, we're going to have to do some tricks to get it working on the PS2, but the idea is to map it as closely to the PS3 version as possible.
We kind of kicked off the game as a PS3 game. That was like our primary focus, and you know, around E3 last year we were very much just focused on the PS3 and making that as cool as we can, and we're really glad we put a lot of investment and time into the platform. Because now, you know, the game looks great on the PS3, but somewhere in there we realized it made sense just to be on the 360 as well. It's a great machine. You know, it's an exciting time to be a game developer. You got a lot of powerful hardware out there to use, and we wanted to, you know, see what we could do with both of the platforms. And I think both versions of the game on both of the platforms, on both the next gen consoles, it's going to be pretty sweet.
To give a hint, while we were at E3 with the PS3, we had a running 360 build in the background. It probably was not a feature parity with the PS3, but it was pretty close. So we've been certainly working on the next gen consoles for quite a while, both of them.
Another reason for the announcement is, you know, we've partnered up with EA Partners to co-publish the game, which is very exciting. You know, we're really excited to have their muscle behind the game and helping us distribute it and market it. I think that's going to be really cool, get it into everyone's hands all around the world. And you know, I think I got no way to finish that sentence.
All right, is that it, Brent? We good? I'm still nauseous from all that Australian candy. It's the worst idea ever.
It's almost like there was a time when there was no such thing really as a designer. Yeah, it was just all programmers. In fact, there was a time when it was just programmers doing art back in like the early 80s. Now we're entering into a time when something that used to be traditionally a design role is kind of being broken out into its own thing. So I literally do nothing now except work on story, dialogue, writing, actors, stuff like that. My name is Matthew Colville. I'm the lead story designer, writer, and I'm in charge of the story, I'm in charge of the plot, I'm in charge of all the characters, I'm in charge of coordinating all the writing, scheduling, budgeting, and all that stuff. I was a designer. I started off as a designer on the project on Mercs 1, and we had a screenwriter that LucasArts gave us, and he did drafts of all of our mission briefings and submitted them to the lead designer, and the lead designer was really busy, and he's like, I don't have time to go over all this stuff. So he sent it out to the team and said, can you guys read over this and let me know what you think? And I had come from the pen and paper RPG industry where I had been managing lots of writers and writing. And so I went through it with, you know, a red pen and destroyed it and said, you know, we we need to redo all this stuff. And they said, fine, you do it. And since then, I've been in charge of the story and the plot and the characters. So I was involved with Mercs 2 from the very beginning, sitting down with the director and the lead designer and the art director. Where are we going to put the game? What's it going to be about? Who's our main bad guy? Stuff like that. All the characters on Mercs 1 already existed by the time I came on board. And we kind of reskinned them for Mercs 2. Chris, Jen, and Matthias in the first game are kind of, they don't have a whole lot of dialogue, and you don't learn a lot about them, and now they have to shoulder the burden of telling a story. And that means they need to be slightly more developed characters. This isn't going to be like a Chekhov play. It's Mercenaries, right? It's this over-the-top 80s action movie game. But everything else, it was the director's idea to set the game in Venezuela because we thought it was really a great location visually to put a game, and plus the fact that Venezuela has a lot of oil and oil is on people's minds right now, we thought was pretty timely. Ripped from the headlines, you might say. But the bad guy, his henchmen, the nature of the conflict was all the stuff that I headed up and worked on, in collaboration with everybody else. It was a long, involved process. It took a lot longer than it should have to figure out what the story for Mercenaries 2 was going to be, and that's because we have many people from many disparate backgrounds getting together and working it out. And there's many things from earlier iterations of the story that I miss, but I miss because we cut them or changed the story. But I'm pretty happy with what we have now. I think the story we have now is solid. It's going to take you from the beginning of the game to the end of the game, and the player should be able to, at any given point, understand why am I doing what I'm doing. In the first game, the story was pretty ephemeral in that it was easy to play through the game and not have any idea what the hell was going on. And so there was no context for a lot of your actions. And one of the really difficult things we decided to do for Mercs 2 was make sure that all the mission design was informed by the story, and the story was informed by the mission design. So that's what the lead designer and I do, is we make sure that those two elements play well together. That's ultimately the goal. All we're trying to do, we're not a story-based game. The game is one man taking on armies and blowing up buildings and hijacking helicopters and having fun while you're doing it. The goal of story on this project is just to provide context for that. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Because without the context, especially with a game like Mercenaries, it becomes a toy. It's just something you play around with for a little while and then you put down. The story is the thing that pulls you through and gets you from one moment to the next. We've gone through several iterations of the story. We went from having 3 heroes to 5 heroes to 1 hero. We've gone through at least 2 different bad guys. There's stuff that we would like to do that we can't because it's not, even though it makes sense for the story, it doesn't make sense for Mercs gameplay. So if what makes sense for the story does not support that, then we have to change the story. In other senses, it makes things easier, right? Because if we want to know, how do we resolve this conflict? Like, if we have one of the bosses in the game, the main bad guy's henchman, if we want to decide, well, where is the final confrontation between the hero and this guy going to take place? We know it's got to be someplace that gets destroyed, someplace big. So we say, hey, let's put it on the oil rig, which is this huge, massive structure with all sorts of moving parts and stuff that you get to blow up. So that makes our lives easier because we can kind of look around in the world that we're building and say, where's the best place to put this final confrontation? I don't know how many other companies have somebody like me. Usually my job is done either by the lead designer or the director or some combination thereof as a team kind of working together. And then once they've got the plot worked out and they know who all the characters are and what happens when, then they hand it off to a writer who is often a hired gun, somebody they bring on just to write the dialogue. I think that the need is only now emerging in the industry. Not all games. You know, I'm playing a lot of Elite Beat Agents right now on my DS, and that's not a game that needs an elaborate story. But as many games become more of an experience, they require better characterization, more attention paid to story and stuff like that. So as we are moving into that phase, especially with the next gen games, we're going to see more people like me doing what I'm doing. My first video game was Mercs 1. My second video game was Mercs 2. I'm pretty sure I know what my third video game is going to be.
Welcome to the, what number is this? It's like the third video blog session, Q&A session. This time we have a special guest. I don't know who this guy is, but I hear he does something on this project or whatever. Both of us are going to answer your your questions from the forums that we've hastily assembled into this.
I'm the beautiful assistant. That's my role here.
So without further ado,
using our very fair and balanced selection process.
Silly Goose wants to know, will we see a Hummer H3 or any other real-world cars?
That's an excellent question.
Yeah, that
Does
is.
he mean in the game or just in general?
I think he means in the game, actually.
Okay, because in general, I'm pretty sure he's going to see some real cars.
Yeah, I mean,
but in the game, you want me to field that one?
Yeah.
Okay. In the game, that's an area of active investigation, Silly Goose, and I don't have a final answer for you. What I'll say is, stay tuned because we have some interesting stuff that we're investigating.
Get a little, whoa, hey, this is not one of the rules of the game here, all right. Matthias fan wants to know, could the X360 version have Xbox Live enabling where you can battle one another over the internet? That would be really cool, and if not, oh well. That's kind of how we see all the features in our game. It's like, well, you know, we'd like to have all this cool glowing stuff.
Yeah,
it's fine. We can turn it into like an accounting simulation or something.
Yeah, like Puzzle Quest.
Yeah. That's cool. I can't buy that yet. But there will be Xbox Live enabling in the sense that you can cooperatively play the game with other people online. You won't actually be able to battle against each other unless you do it emergently, like decide that you're going to start shooting something else.
There is friendly fire, and there is friendly action hijacking, and all of the mechanics work on each other just like they would in the game. But the game is co-op focused in multiplayer. There's not a competitive mode thing. Right.
Unless you decide to get creative, you know, competitively with what you're doing. You know, it's always an option for you.
Oh, thank you. Wow. This is an honor and a privilege. All right. I'm going to mess up this person's name. Commander Vladimir. By the way, my cat, who's now 15 years old and a Russian blue, is named Vladimir. So this is a very
off to a good start.
Off to a good start. This is my favorite question so far. Commander Vladimir Kozentov wants to know: are we going to be able to customize our weapons too, like adding a flash suppressor to an AK-47 to make it an AK-74? Or painting the AK-47 black and then adding the flash suppressor, where it actually says here Falch suppressor.
Falch.
I'm not enough of a gun nerd to know if that's something different.
Special.
Yeah.
Wearing Kosh
for suppressing Falch.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Anyway, and a scope to make it an AK-101. Commander Vladimir, the answer is no. We're not really customizing weapons to that level of granularity. Mercs is a very kind of over-the-top action game where we want you in the action, running around, blowing stuff up. These are cool ideas, but you know, we're kind of focused on a little bit, higher level action than that. But what you will be able to do is customize out your support that you have. So you've got a huge array of options as to what kind of airstrikes and vehicles and stuff you want to bring in anytime. So there's plenty of customization in the support, but we don't go all the way down to the detail of like putting on different suppressors and stuff like that. Even though it is a cool idea, not this time around. Hang on, so here we go. It's your turn.
Alright. The Iron Man wants to know, is the intro to this game going to involve the power-hungry tyrant trying to snuff you out? He's actually got a second question, but I'll address the first one. Yes, there is a power-hungry tyrant who's the main antagonist for the game that you're going to have sort of a personal beef about. I don't know how much we want to talk about the actual story itself beyond that kind of high-level concept, but this time around, as opposed to sort of the little bit distant antagonist that you had in Mercs 1, you're going to have a bit of a connection with the main tyrant this time around.
Right. There's definitely a power-hungry tyrant. Yeah. That's for sure.
It's kind of it's a given. I mean, along with step 1 up here.
Yeah. Giant ninja robots.
He also wants to know, if we're in a vehicle of an opposing faction, will we be able to get opposing faction members into that vehicle unlike the last game?
No.
No. Yeah, actually, if you honk your horn or let them know that you aren't who you say you are, they're probably going to start riddling you with bullets.
Yeah, well, they're going to screw on the Falch suppressor.
Right, yeah. Because you're letting out so much foul shit at the same time that just really just can't contain yourself.
Right. All right. Okay. All right. Nitro159 wants to know, hey Scott and Co, I guess that's me, right? Co. Yeah,
Scott and Co, okay.
What will happen if you blow up your PMC establishment? Or can you? What will happen if you blow up your PMC establishment? Or can you?
You're a crazy man.
Well, look, I'm going to answer this in a very, very simple way, Nitro159. The answer is, I hope you saved your game. That's all I'm saying.
And some money.
Yeah. That's it. I can't work under these conditions.
𝚖𝚎𝚗𝚘𝚗 wants to know, will there be a bayonet in the game? In the last game, there were so many times I could have used one and could have had the option of taking it off and on. Unfortunately, the whole piercing thing, you know, like the piercing of my body and flesh and blood spurts out, that sort of thing, tends to move us from the T for teen into the M for mature. And we're an over-the-top action game, but there's a lot you can do in that prospect without kind of having to go ridiculously over top with the kind of violent options you can get in. So, no, we're not going to have bayonets, but you can we can leave this up to your imagination when you kind of butt somebody with the melee bash. Imagine if that was a bayonet, and if there were...
Yeah, while you're at it, imagine the game's really cool. Like, imagine that's the best game you've ever played. Alright, that's a big one. Alright, Jacob Rules. That's with a Z, I want to clarify that. Yeah, Jacob Rules wants to know, will the Apache and the Allied 8-wheel APC and anything else from Mercs 1 come back? Will grenade guns and turrets be back? Pretty much yes, all of that stuff and so much more that I can't even begin to describe.
It's going to boggle your mind.
Your mind will boggle.
It'll blow up. Have you ever seen scanners? It's kind of like...
That's a personal guarantee from Scott Warner. Hey, you know, speaking of Mercs 1, I happen to... Look, check what I'm wearing. Look what I'm wearing today.
Oh, man.
I just happen to be wearing... Look at this. Mercs 1 fans, check this out. Oh, yeah.
You can't get that. That's limited edition.
Can't get that.
The Viet Cong wants to know, you have to work some weekends now. You guys seem to be working hard, so I can't wait to play the game. Personally, I'm not working hard at all, actually. I think I'm putting in 6-hour days, and this guy, I mean...
This is pretty much the hardest I've worked on the project, what we're doing right here. This is tough. Well, I've been in my command Zeppelin, you know, kind of...
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
You know, sort of just hovering above the skyline.
I've been having all the other designers feed me grapes and fan me with rubber plant leaves.
That's nice. Scott leads a very God of War lifestyle, really. The true answer to the question is, you know, to us it's not work. You know, do we work hard? No, we play hard. What are you talking about? I don't know. There was one, I'm going to cheat because there was one by a guy called Karate Guy, and that's a cool name. I want to answer this question. Here it is. Karate Guy 235.
Wow.
Which implies that we have at least 234 other Karate Guys.
That's true, yeah.
That's a karate army we have right there. New faction, Mercs 3, you heard it here first. Karate Guy 235 wants to know, when are demos available, or when can we start testing? Well, if you want to start testing, jobs at pandemicstudios.com, you know, send us a resume. We're a pretty cool company to work for if you're in the Los Angeles area. Apart from that, when are demos available? The honest truth is I'm not sure.
I don't know. I mean, the goal of every development team is to build a demo for every game they can get out there if they have the time to do it. It's going to be a race to the finish with this one, so we're not quite sure yet. And we don't have that sort of E3 festival sort of sandwiched into everything we're doing this time around.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, unfortunately we don't know. This would be, we'd have to ask our producer, because this is like a date money question, and we're just like naughty kids. I think this is the last one. All right, so DAH192 wants to know. DAH192, it's nice little nod. DAH192 wants to know, for Easter, will you reveal one Easter egg in the game?
It's a pretty good plan, actually.
When's Easter?
Of course, then it's not really an Easter egg anymore, then, is it?
When's Easter? Easter's April?
It's Easter, yeah, it's somewhere around that time.
I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to say no. No, we're not going to. We're not going to reveal any Easter eggs on Easter. I'm sorry, DAH192 or DAH192. We're not going to be revealing any Easter eggs in Easter. We're going to be saving those for you guys to discover when you play the game. All right, thanks for your questions, guys. We really appreciate them. And you know, I hope Scott will invite me back to help next time. This is really his department, and you know, I'm honoured to be a guest and to be allowed to dip my hand into the bowl of questions.
Yes, and next time. So,
and scene.
No, so that's the end of our third question and answer session. Please continue to come to the community and contribute your questions. We're going to do, I assume, a few more of these before we end up shipping this game.
I thought you were kind of, just coasting going through that whole session.
In movies and other media, when you create characters, it's more of a passive experience where the viewer watches this cool character interact with other people. But in video games, you get to either be that character or you get to interact with them directly. That to me is really exciting, the fact of being able to be some of these characters, run around as them. My name is Matt Kresge. I'm the lead character modeler for Mercenaries 2. I pretty much make the characters look really cool and stuff, and I get a chance to work with some of the best character modelers in the industry, so that's always a fun plus. I do some art creation myself. I actually have modeled a few of the characters in the game, but the majority of my job is more of supervising the other character modelers, basically dealing with technical issues, getting the characters to basically get into the game and function correctly. A lot of my time is actually problem solving in terms of trying to get the characters to look as good as they can in the engine. Sometimes there's a disconnect between when you work inside of a package like XSI, it'll look one way, and then when you actually put it in the game engine with the full lighting and stuff, it looks a different way. So you have to basically, I act as kind of the bridge between that. Also make sure that all of our characters kind of look generally the same. We don't want to have someone that looks like an anime style in a realistic style game. There's a lot of different steps in creating a character. For our game, basically what it starts off as is obviously as a concept where the art director will decide upon basically a rendered look for the character. At that point, then we usually go to a line drawing that the modelers can work from as a basis of making sure that everything matches up. The line drawing generally has all the correct proportions and stuff already in it, and then the modelers work from that to actually get the rough, low-res, the actual in-game model correct. At that point, then once that's been approved and stuff, then we take that and then we texture that, we make the full skin and everything. Then after that's been approved, then we actually make a high-res model using ZBrush and some other tools to actually really scale it up and make all kinds of really great details like cloth folds and little designs and stuff on the clothing. Once we've completed a character, we actually hand that off to the animation department where I work closely with our lead animator, Austin, to make sure that the characters, they're rigged and that they're animated and whatnot. I work also a little bit with the designers to make sure that the characters are being used. We have a lot of characters in our game, something like 110 or something like that. Because we're working in a realistic style, it's been a real challenge to make the characters have a little bit of stylization, a little bit of personality and stuff that kind of fits into the blow everything up kind of Mercs mentality. And so you have to really push the faces, you have to push the way that the characters look, the small details and stuff. Because with next gen now, or current gen I should say, there's a lot of detail that you can put into these characters. Some of our characters, the more advanced ones, have required in the range of maybe like 35 man days. So that's a lot of time in the game industry. It used to be anything from a week to 2 weeks could be considered okay for a character. Now everything has gone up by a factor of 3. So it's a long engaging process, but we're really breaking a lot of new ground with pushing characters in this game. One of the characters that has undergone a lot of changes, for those of you who've been probably watching the website closely and have noticed some of the changes that have gone on, is like with 𝚖𝚎𝚗𝚘. Each of the characters in the game has a different personality type, and therefore their equipment and their outfits revolve around that outfit type. 𝚖𝚘𝚗 was always written in the original game as a guy who was like into death metal and was from the Swedish biker gang from the first game. So, we just basically evolved that. He was one of the earlier main characters that we had made, and you probably noticed that his proportions and his details and stuff have changed, and that's just been a result of, as we've begun to understand really the amount of realism that we're able to put into these characters, we find we can keep putting more and more in. And so we've done a lot of changes with him to improve his look. We added a bunch of tattoos. His face has undergone some changes. His nose, his forehead has changed a lot. His hair, we decided to remove the glasses because we thought he looked so realistic already that we decided that we might as well remove the glasses from him to show his eyes off and stuff. His eyes, for example, have been actually something that's improved a lot. We've really pushed a lot with getting characters' eyes to look much more realistic. We've even modeled them after real anatomy. I mean, they function like real eyes. They have holes in them where actual light can cast through and stuff. As far as his outfit goes, it really hasn't changed too much, but we probably have some secret stuff that I can't talk about that we will probably show off at a later time. So for those who would like to maybe see, 𝚖𝚎𝚗𝚘 running around in a different costume, I'll just say stay tuned, To be a character modeler in the video game industry, there's several different ways you can go about it, obviously through school programs. Really, it comes down to practice. Really just getting access to a 3D program, even if it's something as simple as Milkshake. I would say a 2D background is very, very important, but it's not necessary. I mean, you can make great 3D stuff, if you can draw, you can't draw, that's one thing. And really, you do have to understand a lot of different things about how joints work, how the arms bend, how the hands move. Facial stuff as well too is also very important. Being able to do a 2D texture in Photoshop or other things is also a very good skill. Costume design, I would say costume design actually is a big part now. You really actually have to really think about stuff, about how everything's laid out. Everything from like little ammo pouches to scarves on the neck and stuff like that. It's almost like, you're a fashion designer in a lot of ways.
No, I think you should go.
I think I should go?
Yeah, I think you should go. I think somebody named Matt should start.
All right, so I'll be the one to start it off. Okay, so as you guys have seen on the website, probably from the IGN article, we've now announced the rest of the main characters for our game, Chris and Jen. Both of them have had their own unique set of challenges in bringing them to reality. We've got the other Matt here, who's going to talk about their backgrounds and more of their motivations.
Taking the characters from the Mercenaries 1 to Mercenaries 2 was kind of a long, arduous, painful experience. It's hard to say they're changed because we didn't really know anything about them in the first game. They didn't have a lot of dialogue and you didn't get to know them. So what we've done is we've just expanded on what there was.
We were trying to originally push the characters into some pretty radical directions from what originally they were, and I think we pulled that back to refine them to more of what they're...
Yeah, I think we focused on trying to make them iconic. We have to kind of walk a fine line between challenging the player's expectations and making the character kind of too, in one direction, and making them iconic and recognizable.
Originally, Chris was going to be like the Mr. T, like soldier dude. I mean, should we touch?
There was actually a Puff Daddy period, and there was a LL Cool J period, and then there was a Kimbo period. Before there was mixed martial arts, there was this big dude, this big backyard wrestler dude, and you can see his silhouette in some of the advertising stuff for Mercenaries 2, where you'll see these 3 heroes off to the side and then Matthias, and the 3 heroes are in silhouette. Well, one of those heroes is Ava, because she was originally going to be a hero and we kind of demoted her. And if you look at Chris, he's this big hulking guy with this beard. He almost looks like if Isaac Hayes weighed 300 pounds and could kick your ass. Yeah. But we ditched that because it was kind of, whoa, what the hell is that? Yeah. That's not really the reaction we're going for. Matt's best concept stuff was for characters that never made it into the game. And we went through a long series of other, if we didn't use the 3 main characters, who would we go with? There was a long period where there was only going to be 1 hero, because that was just easiest. When you have 3 heroes, that means you have to do everything 3 times, and that can be kind of a pain in the ass. We had a great kind of Yakuza samurai.
We had at one point a Latino cop, I believe, who was supposed to be like a burned out kind of guy who was betrayed by Solano.
He turned into the head of the police faction, and then we cut the police faction. We also had one of the recruits in the game right now, actually 2 of the recruits in the game right now. Ewan, the helicopter pilot, and Ava, the mechanic, were both originally mercenaries. And at one point, when we had 3 or 5 heroes, Ava was one of them. She was Mexican.
Yes.
And she had Matt came up with this great outfit for her. And as we kind of drifted back toward the 3 mercenaries from the first game, we all loved Ava and we wanted to put her in the game, so we made her a recruit.
As the characters developed and as we experimented with different ideas and stuff, we solidified back on the original 3, and we really made a lot of visual improvements as well as as well as also story.
I mean, they're a lot more visually compelling now, and it's a combination of the fact that we have better character models now, we have higher resolution, we spend a lot more time on who are these guys, what do they look like. But I love just zooming in right now and looking at Chris Jacobs. He exudes this great attitude. He's almost like a character from Predator. Chris is the kind of the jaded moralist, right? Because there are players who are interested in which side is the right side and whether they're working for the bad guys or the good guys. And Chris is kind of that character. Chris Jacobs is probably the most experienced of the 3 mercenaries. And we granted him this backstory where he went through, Delta Force, the combat applications group, and served in Iraq, and saw, we never say what, but he saw some things that really kind of destroyed his belief in the concept of morality. And so he came out the other side just thinking everybody in the world was no damn good, that people were worthless. And so he's always the voice of the skeptic and the unbeliever in every situation. He thinks that every faction is wrong, you know, and they have their own propaganda. He thinks it's crap. They say these are our ideals, and they say, yeah, but you know, who cares about ideals? They always go out the window as soon as you know, the rubber hits the road. Gosh, I've been talking for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, in each one of those characters of what Matt's been talking about, we reflect in their costumes. Since he was originally kind of a playboy a little bit in terms of lots of attitude, he still has that kind of edge to him, but what we really did with his character is kind of moved him a little bit more towards the military side. Chris's outfits reflect more of his experience, you know, since he's been in different military backgrounds and gone through a lot more stuff. He's more of a guy who was able to take care of himself in a real military combat zone. We've kind of shaved his head and stuff, made him look a little bit more aggressive and whatnot. He's used much more real world tactical equipment, black vests, things like that.
Plus you can see it in his animation too, like just the way he carries himself. He's this very kind of larger than life figure, you know. He's if it wasn't for the fact that he was so bitter, he would be a leader, you know. He would end up like a general somewhere.
I'd say that what we've got now, I think, is very iconic in terms of design and also in terms of personality. We went through a lot of changes with the main characters and what we wanted to do, and whether they were going to be the original three coming back or not. But I think with what we've got now is very strong.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're great characters. So that. We've known for a long time that the three heroes were coming back, Chris, Jen, and Matthias. But in Mercenaries 1, they didn't have much characterization. There wasn't a lot of dialogue. They didn't appear in cutscenes, really, except for a handful. Now we have a more robust story. We have cinematics. So we get to know these characters a lot more. And so that meant we had to figure out who these people were, and what their motivation was, and what their background was.
Is there anything backstory that you want to talk about?
Yeah, you know, I don't like backstory stuff. In the process of working on Mercs 2, I came to the conclusion that that stuff's crap. Right? It takes the it's easy and it's cheap, and it takes the place of what we should be concentrating on, which is what's this guy's personality? What's his attitude? What's his motivation? Unless you're stuck on a load screen, you have nothing to do, so you might as well read the character's backstory. I think it's nowhere near as interesting as meeting the dude and seeing his attitude and hearing him talk for the first time. If I meet you, right, I don't look at you and go, oh, that guy went to Yale, or, you know, that guy doesn't like his mom, or whatever. I get a read based on the way you hold yourself, the way you talk, stuff like that. And that's what we want to communicate to the artists. That's what we want to communicate to the players. We try to make sure that each hero kind of represents one axis of the mercenary experience. So there's Matthias, who's just purely motivated by destruction. He's basically an anarchist. Chris is the jaded moralist. And then there's Jen, who is kind of the refined British assassin mercenary. Her primary motivation is money. She makes no secret of the fact that that's the most important thing in the world to her. That's the only thing she thinks makes any difference. She doesn't care about politics, she doesn't care about morality, she thinks that's all crap.
She's more of a character that likes to spend money on nicer clothes, nicer cars, things like that. She's more of a fashion-oriented character. She's got more of the leather boots, leather jacket, things like that. Her basic equipment also that she comes with is also much more sleek, stylish, more cutting edge. Obviously, the best that money can buy. Jen has been a real challenge because we really wanted to make a character that is sexy and very strong, a female character in the game, but we didn't want to obviously do the traditional, you know, people complain a lot about video games about big boobs and, you know, lots of flesh and stuff like that. So we really wanted to make a really strong character and design for a character that's like a girl who can take care of herself. You know, she's surrounded by guys and stuff, but she can hold her own and everything in a combat situation.
She's smoking hot, but that's not something that she values, right? She values skill in the field and money. So she knows, this comes out in the dialogue in a couple of places, she knows the effect her looks have on people, and she's willing to use that to get what she wants, but it's not something that she cares about. It's not something that motivates her at all.
Jen went from secret agent, I believe. I think they showed secret agent, because originally the concepts that I saw for her, I think were like secret agent stuff.
Her background still is, I'm trying to remember, I know that she still kind of is the secret agent character.
Oh, is she? Okay.
She's got that background, right? She's ex MI6. See, it sounds like I'm talking about comic book character. She's ex MI6, Chris is ex Delta Force, of course. So she's formally a spy, that's her training, but that doesn't, I don't know how much that plays out in the gameplay. That's just background and playable stuff. She looks like the concept art shows her with this like 6-foot long sniper rifle, right? Which is great. It looks fantastic, and it communicates, that she's the precise, stealthy, one-shot stop, get in, get out real quick character.
To save money. She's the efficient killer of the group. We originally had longer hair for her and stuff. We felt that it doesn't make sense in a combat environment and stuff like that, so we decided to cut it shorter, make her a little bit more practical. She has basically another outfit where she just takes the jacket off, and she has kind of a bulletproof vest type style setup on her, and so she has like more of a militant side to some of her designs.
And she's also aware of kind of how silly her attitude about money is. In many ways, she's the most self-aware of the three characters. So she makes jokes about her own kind of obsession with just the bottom line. It's all about cash. And that's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun for me to write that stuff. It's fun to write for all the heroes, and it's great for me just because we've got the same actors coming back to do it, and I can hear their voice in my head. It makes it very easy for me to come up with what I think of as like cool action hero dialogue. Like, 𝚖𝚎𝚗 is such a crazy character. He's probably the most fun character to write for because he's so wild and his dialogue is so bizarre. And he's got the weirdest kind of worldview. But I think Chris is probably my favorite character because of all of them, he's like the only one that's maybe two-dimensional, right? He's got a little bit of like an internal monologue. And if I had to pick a main character, it would be Chris Jacobs because he has the most substantive, like, presence and commentary in the world and what goes on.
Yeah, I'd say my favorite character actually is Jen, actually, because she's so calm, collected, and she's pretty much almost like a surgeon the way she operates, it seems like, and she keeps her wits about her at all times and really doesn't get fazed by a lot of stuff, so she's my favorite. Plus she has some pretty cool outfits.
We've put a lot of work into presenting the story and the characters and their personality in the second game better than we did in the first game, and it is my sincere hope that pays off and that everybody gets to see it.
The hardest thing with my new job is managing all the vehicles. I mean, there's so many numbers and spreadsheets and documents. Oh, and when screenshots come up, I have to take a lot of screenshots. My name is Ali. I'm a QA tester. I've been in QA for about 2 years. I used to work at THQ. Worked on awesome games such as Titan Quest and Supreme Commander that you can kind of see there. Without QA, we wouldn't really have any idea what state the game is in. I have done regular testing, and now I'm here on the production side. The biggest difference is being able to communicate directly with the engineers and the artists and the developers. So with the right suspension settings, see, it still has, weird. Yeah, like no matter what you do, the front end still dips up because the turret's so heavy. Really weird things. Usually our process is playing through the game, playing through a certain amount of missions, and then anything we run into, which could range from frame rate or the terrain dropping out or just crashes that occur, we just log them and then we can move on. You can kind of think of bugs as like roadblocks, like kind of stopping you from playing through the game or playing through missions and stuff. Get a good list going and then send them out to the engineers around the office. Could be a couple cubicles over, could be right next door. So it's really nice being able to have that direct communication with the devs. It just makes things much easier. Funnest thing about being a production tester was making a game out of causing the game to crash. You're kind of in competition with the others to try to see, hey, who can get the most crashes in one day or who can find the most bugs. The constant playthroughs drain you a little bit. You're playing through the game all day, you're running bugs, and sometimes, no bugs will pop up. You just gotta keep yourself focused. After testing, it's like, you just don't want to touch any other games. People assume, we're just playing the game, but then again, you gotta realize playing and testing are two different things. When you're testing a game, you're not really playing it, you're trying to make it a bug-free quality product. And then when you get home, you don't want to go to the gym or get out, get some fresh air. I mean, the last thing I want to do is be in front of a monitor. There's a good balance, of course, testing and, a little bit of fun. Sometimes, you can balance them out. I was doing screenshots a kind of, in my own spare time, use the marketing cam and take these cool screenshots for fun. I was getting really cool angles of awesome shots. I mean, the game looks so amazing. I couldn't help it. And I guess some of the marketing guys really liked some of the shots, so they had me do screenshots part-time, which is now becoming full-time between vehicle physics and marketing. My name's Ali. I was a QA tester on Mercs 2. Now I'm doing vehicle physics and screenshots. Well, vehicle physics, they had us volunteer one weekend, and I had a really good feel for it. And I guess they liked some of the vehicles I did, and there was an opening. I applied for the position, and I did get it. So now I'm doing working with the engineers on getting the vehicles up to a very fun state. So we got a couple issues here with this vehicle. First of all, as you can see, this vehicle has an extra wheel right in the middle of it, so it's actually got 5 wheels. Another issue is that it's rendering strangely on the front end. It's showing these red glowy artifacts. Usually what a tester does, they'll go through and they'll kind of document all the issues. For example, this one will document that the ESV truck has an extra wheel, so the vehicle guy would take a look and be like, oh crap, I put an extra wheel on it. Now I can actually fix this myself since I'm doing vehicle stuff, so I could go in through the templates and delete that extra wheel and then make sure all 4 wheels are working right. If you remove these physical links, it'll get rid of that wheel because this template's already got a car wheel and these are the 4 wheels. So once we remove the physical links, it'll get rid of that extra wheel. But this is something maybe a texture artist would fix, so I would send out an email letting them know, all right, I think I've had a little bit enough of this vehicle, so it gets RPG. Very nice. I would adjust side friction and forward friction, torque factor. I do a lot of suspension, a lot of work with the gearbox. The hardest thing for me is finding a balance between realism and fun factor. I'm not trying to make the game a simulation like, Colin McRae or Gran Turismo, but I do want the cars to feel somewhat realistic and have that dash of arcadiness to it. So I just want the players to have fun with the vehicles. So I'm tweaking vehicle physics right now, working on a couple trucks and stuff, boats and civilian vehicles, making sure they're driving very nicely. This is pretty much how the vehicles are going to drive in Mercs 2. But yeah, I'm totally kidding. By the way, they're gonna be nothing like that. Here we have a busted vehicle. It's obviously got no mass. It's not sticking to the ground, and it's got way too much torque. So I'm gonna load my presets, and this is how it's gonna drive, like normally. So as you can see, it's sticking to the ground. It's got mass. It's got sway, and you can totally go off-road with it. The suspension works completely awesome. And the best thing about it is it doesn't feel like any other vehicle in the game.
So, hey, welcome to, I think this is the 4th iteration of our Q&A session. This week's special guest is Mark Domwitz. He's the director on the PS2 version of Mercs 2. Mark, you want to introduce the project a little bit and talk about your role?
Sure. Okay, so my name is Mark Domwitz. I'm the assistant director on the Mercenaries 2 project, and I'm the project lead / director for Mercenaries 2 on the PlayStation 2. The PS2 project is being done by Pi Studios in Houston. They've got about a 30-40 man team working on the project. They've been doing it for the past year. Really talented group, doing a really great job. And I think when you see the game and some of the footage and screenshots online, you're going to really like what you see.
I've seen the PS2 version over at the course of its development. It's looking really cool. So we've actually specifically asked people on the forums to submit PS2 questions this time around. So I think there are some in here, hopefully. If not, Mark can just sit here and go.
Yeah, thumbs up.
Yeah, so let's see what we've got. I've got some questions in here, I think. Mojo1 wants to know, will you be able to climb ladders in the game, or are they just for show like the last Mercs? Yeah, actually, we got some next generation ladder technology this time around, so you actually will be able to climb up some ladders, believe it or not. You know, forget about online co-op and complete streaming worlds. You can climb ladders, so get ready for it. Mr. Cheesy wants to know, how late are you working now that it's getting closer to showtime? It kind of fluctuates a little bit because we do our development through milestones, and what happens is you get to the end of a milestone and everybody kind of puts in some long hours and weekends and tries to really narrow everything down for that milestone so they can deliver and let everybody who's important look at the game as it's currently stands. So right now we are getting closer to finishing this game, so there's a lot more of that happening, and the milestones are getting a little shorter. We're pulling everything together as fast as we can and as good as we can, so yeah, there's quite a few late hours at this point to standard with any game development. It's actually kind of fun though. I really enjoyed this period of time during any game development project. So this one's for you, 187. Wants to know when we're going to see a PS2 screenshot.
187. Mr. Scott, where and when can I see screenshots of Mercenaries 2 for the PS2? Actually, 187, you can see it today. There are screenshots up on IGN, ps2.ign.com. There's a small handful of them. We've also taken more than that. They're going out to both online and print press. And if they're not up already, there should be videos up there too. So there is definitely stuff going out, and there's going to be more in the very near future.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, I've seen some of the stuff. They look really nice. I should just bring this up here. All right, let's see what we got. OOM4783 wants to know, will we be able to place multiple C4 then blow them up, or just one at a time? Yeah, you will be able to place multiple C4, queue them up, and then blow them up concurrently.
You did it in Mercs 1 as well.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But I think the big difference in both the PS2 and the next-gen versions of the game is that the C4 is sticky this time around. So you can throw on anything, it'll stick to anything. And also, we've kind of streamlined the way it works in both versions. So it's instead of on the PS2 version for Mercs 1, you would kind of go into the mini cutscene, it would kind of take you a little bit out of the game. We felt like that broke things up a little bit too much, so we wanted to streamline it. Now you just throw it like it's a regular grenade, you throw as many as you want, and then you switch to your detonator, and bam.
Yeah, it flows a lot better now. Cuban45 POP wants to know, will we be able to drive the same vehicle as your friend in co-op without going on the turret? Also in co-op, do you have to play the same character in co-op? Because that would be really annoying. Yeah, really annoying. Well, your first question there. Yes, the other player can get in the vehicle without manning the turret. Not quite sure why you would want to do that on a regular basis, because you've got a 50 caliber versus you just sitting there kind of enjoying the leisurely drive through the Venezuelan countryside. But yeah, you can do that, certainly, without a doubt. As far as playing the same characters, you'll be able to select another character when you play in co-op. So we'll avoid your really annoying experience there for you. Hawk Gengar wants to know, will any helicopter be able to winch anything? Because last time around, the only thing I could pick up was, with a North Korean helicopter, was a civilian's car and a Sunbury Scout. I think you can pick up a lot more than that if you try.
Well, I mean, I think what he was saying is that in Mercs 1, you had to have if you want to pick up something really heavy, you had to have a bigger class helicopter. And so if you were using just that one helicopter to pick up everything, that's not going to work. But if you had like a bigger, heavier delivery kind of helicopter, you should be able to pick up almost anything in the game.
So yeah, you will definitely be able to pick up a lot of stuff. If you look on the G4 video clips, you'll see a demo we did from E3 where we actually winch a semi and then blow it up in midair as we let it go. So there's a lot you can do with it. I think one key addition to Mercs this time around to make winching and using the helicopter in a little bit more of an interesting fashion is that when you recruit the helicopter pilot, it opens up a mechanic we call extraction that allows you to acquire munitions, airstrike fuel bombs in the world, and actually fuel resources in the game, and bring them back to your stockpile. So if you're wandering around the world and you see this giant daisy cutter laying around the world, you can actually call in your helicopter recruit to come in and extract that out, provided it's safe, right? There's no anti-air in the area. So this time around, the helicopter coming in and bringing things out of the world is going to be a lot more advantageous for you because it allows you to get things for free. And then the second question is, will the second game be as gloomy as the first? The whole time I was playing the first, I was having fun blowing things up, but everything seemed just so lifeless. Yeah, one of the key reasons that we picked Venezuela is because it was a 180-degree turn away from North Korea. There's a lot of variation in the environment. It's sunny all the time. We have mountains and oceans and rivers and plateaus and forests and jungles. So I think that you'll find, collectively throughout the game that it's a lot more varied in terms of what you have to look at on a regular basis. And then another reason that you felt that way is because in Mercs 1 we had this perpetual fog that was pretty close in on the player that we kind of had to do for technical reasons. We just couldn't give you a really long draw distance without blowing our various resource budgets in the game. This time around we're a lot less inhibited by that, so we have really long draw distance that allow you to see out over the environment. I think that you will find in general it's a brighter, sunnier, more varied experience throughout the world. As far as the PS2 version is concerned, would you find that it's basically the same?
It's the same. I mean, we don't have the new extended draw distance that the next gen version has, unfortunately. Our development strategy for Mercs 2 on the PS2 was to really take the Mercs 1 engine and enhance it as much as possible. So we are seeing some of the advantages of using the new environment. It does look sunnier. We were able to push back the fog a little bit. We were able to brighten up the sky, the look. It's more colorful. So yeah, a lot of those things do apply.
Attack 555 wants to know, will we be able to stick C4s on people or a co-op partner? Oh yes, yes you will be able to.
Is that going to be a ratings violation of any sort?
That's a good question. I have no idea. It's fun though. So Joe Cool wants to know, is Eva going to be in the final game or is she gone forever? Yeah, actually she will be in the final game. She'll be a recruitable mercenary in Mercs 2. So she hasn't disappeared completely, even though we decided not to use her as a playable character. The Food Merc wants to know, what is the purpose of doing the side missions? So we kind of don't even see them as side missions in Mercs 2 this time around. We see that there's a bit of an interplay between the main missions in the game, which we call contracts, and the side missions in the game, which we call jobs. Your main missions are what propel you through the game. They're the main story missions. They're the things that get you closer to the main bad guy in the game. And all of the side content, or what we call the free play job content, allows you to acquire money and fuel and support that you can then stockpile and use in the main contracts. So to progress through the game, there's a balance between doing these main missions and doing these smaller jobs. So the purpose really is to acquire resources. It's kind of like leveling up in our game.
In the PS2 version, one of the reasons why you take jobs is because you want to get in good terms with the faction. And
that's true,
if you get in good terms with the faction or a particular person, member of that faction, they'll become your contact.
Yeah.
And then as your contact, you can meet them in the world again and purchase particular goods. If they're happy with you, they'll sell you stuff, and then you can use those goods in your missions.
Along with that point is that jobs are also a way that you can get back in a faction's good graces if you piss them off in some way. Merc 4321, contact, wants to know, will there be pistols in Mercs 2? Yes, there will be. Also wants to know is, will there be any cheats like in Mercs 1? Oh yeah. It's a convention. We're going to adopt it. We're going to have cheats all over the place. Taover wants to know, will there be separate maps like in Mercs 1 where you could travel from the north to the south provinces, or will it all be one giant map? So it's all one giant map this time around. I think nobody likes to have loads at all in their game. They want one contiguous experience without having to sit around and look at a screen, no matter how good it looks.
It's the same thing for the PS2 version as well.
Yeah.
Just one big giant map. One of the biggest challenges that the PI team had was just cramming all the data, making it all fit in memory at once on the PS2, but they've done a really good job in that respect.
It's definitely the toughest challenge of any open world game is how do you make this one giant map where it's all contiguous, you have a lot of things happening at one time, and you allow the players to do anything that they want to at any time on the map. So we kind of went from the very beginning of the game and said, you know what, this time around we're not going to have the separate maps, we're going to put everything together on one map, allow the players to go anywhere that they want to at any time on that giant place and have the game work. And that's been a challenge, but you're going to be able to do it, so very cool. Oh, here we go. So here are a couple of PS2 questions. All
right, cool. Okay, so DAH192 and Emo Hunter are asking, will the Mercs 2 PS2 version be the same as its older next gen and PC brothers, or will it be lower res or just be a little bit inferior? Well, so I should start answering this question by saying first that the PS2 version has a lot of the same features as the next gen version of the game. So the PS2 version has like the swimming and the boats. It's got the PMC stuff. It's got the sticky C4. It's got the action hijack mini games, the dense forest, the really good looking cities and stuff like that. So
marked onwards.
It's got me helping with the project. But yeah, at the same time, it's not a one-for-one copy. You know, there are going to be some things on the next-gen version of the game that aren't in the PS2 version of the game. But you know, actually, the vice versa is true too. There's going to be a couple things on the PS2 version of the game that aren't in the next-gen version. One of the best examples is the PS2 version has a set of jobs, like 40 or 50 jobs, that are unique to the PS2 that you won't see. It's like brand new content that you won't see on the next-gen version. So, you know, anytime people often ask me like, what version of the game should I get? Should I get the next-gen version? Should I get the PS2 version? I often say like, if you're a true fan of the Mercenaries brand and gameplay, you want to get both because there's going to be new stuff in both SKUs.
Multiple copies even of both.
Yes, yeah, like 10,000 or so here and there.
PS2's got rumble, PS3 no rumble. You know,
yeah,
I mean, if you really appreciate the whole controller vibration thing. Jets wants to know, what's the most difficult thing you've accomplished so far? He says that he thinks foliage and forest fires are the most difficult thing. And the one you believe will be the most difficult that you have left to do. Certainly for the next generation version, being able to support an open streaming world is the toughest thing for you to do.
Same thing for the PS2.
Yeah,
all the new vehicles and the new things you can do and the new missions and the bigger world and the new art assets. It's just so much data, so much content that's being shoved into one game. It has to be in memory, you know, callable whenever. It's just a huge challenge for them. Now the biggest upcoming challenge is finishing the game.
That's that's, I mean, finishing any video game is always the toughest challenge. Turtle777 wants to know, when Ewan transports us to different parts of the game world, will we instantly appear at our destination or will we occupy a place in a helicopter and wait while enjoying the scenery? Well, it's the former. You will instantly teleport to the place that you want to go, because usually that's kind of a general complaint that people have in an open world game, is that going from point A to point B in the game is, you know, can be redundant, boring, takes a lot of time. So the goal there really is to be able to allow the player to go from point A to point B immediately, very fast, without having to go and incur that time if they don't want to do it. It's the same about Jets. Jets, you get 2 questions. How about that? He wants to know, can we get a clip of the Moab or Napalm Bomb? We haven't announced a Napalm Bomb. The Moab. Wasn't that awesome? Wasn't that the greatest thing you've ever seen? Wow, amazing. My whole face is blown away right now. Sullyman wants to know, is that huge boat on the trailer hijackable, the one with all the missiles? I think you're referring to the Chinese Huang Feng, and yes, it is hijackable. Pretty much all of the boats in the game are hijackable, and just like the rest of the vehicles in the game, if you can see it, you can probably take it, blow it up, drive it, use it against the enemy. Scott Warner wants to know, Mark Domwitz, what are some of your favorite games and why?
That's a good question. You know, I've been...
Tell that Scott Warner guy.
What is that jerk? I hate that guy on the forums. Yeah. No, you know, some of my favorite games have been the games made by Nintendo. You know, like the Mario 3, the Zeldas, GoldenEye back in the day. I guess one reason is that the games have always been very innovative. They've always tried new things. But second, I think, you know, even though there's a lot of people can come up with good ideas, but Nintendo seems to be able to really execute on those ideas really well.
So I guess that's it. That's all of our questions this time around. Thank you very much for watching and submitting your questions. I'm sure we'll do a few more of these before we ship this game. As always, thanks for coming to the Mercs 2 forums.
Thanks, guys.
Please contribute and you know, ask more questions and enjoy and have a good time with our community. So thanks. All right.
Was that like the most boring thing ever? If you can make that interesting, kudos to you.
Only we had more time.
God, if we only had more time, we could flesh out the multiplayer.
John, we need more time. Guys, I got us more time.
If you ship a game when it's not ready and it'll be bad forever, you delay it and you make it awesome and it'll be awesome forever. Point is, sometimes, you know, a game needs a little bit longer to cook. We just want to make sure it's polished, everything's balanced, you know, everything's as fun as it can possibly be.
It's not to add a bazillion new crazy features. Actually, the features that we have in there are totally killer.
It's a huge open world game. Open world games are tough to do. You gotta let the player do anything he wants to at any time, and then you have to add another person in there. The more time that we get to polish that, the better it performs, the better it looks.
We're sitting on a great game here. We were just looking at a really, really short timeline to get this huge game balanced and perfect for you guys.
As good a game as we were making, we really need to make a great game. We really want to make a great game, and that's what this extra time is doing. We just want to have a really awesome, clean product that we deliver when we're ready.
In the end, you know, I think we made a very tough, but I think the correct decision to take a little bit longer. I know everyone's waiting for the game. We're waiting for the game. We want it to be finished. We want to go on vacation. All we need is just a little bit more time to fully cook it. And I think you guys, I think everyone's going to be happy with the results. So I'm sorry we're making you wait a bit longer for the awesome destruction, but it'll be worth the wait, we promise.
I figure she'll be pretty pissed she finds out you chased me off. Especially after I went to all the trouble to recover these weapons you weekend warriors lost. And
one more.
I'm listening. That's it.
We've been having some problems getting some sound effects in one of the movies.
We're having a really tough time getting this one last piece of Foley to finish out our cinematics.
Specifically, the sound effect of a bullet hitting someone's ass. It's just not feeling right.
The big setup here for Act 1 of the game is you get betrayed and humiliated. Solano is taking the hero, and on top of not paying him, you get shot in the ass.
I was in the meeting. It was me and Dave and John Zamkoff, and this is how I remember it. It was a heated conversation, and for some reason, Dave was very adamant about getting a very specific sound effect, the sound of a bullet going through the fat of a man's ass. Something that only a sound guy would want, I guess.
He was just insistent that we get this done on time and on schedule, and when I suggested that if we would shoot someone in the ass, that would be the quickest way to get this done, he was like, yeah, sure.
I figure at this point in the project, it's my job to come up with solutions and not problems.
Jay-Z said something like, why don't you just shoot me in the ass? And I think he might have said that kind of sarcastically, maybe out of frustration.
But I'm not sure he was really concentrating too heavily on the actual details. That he left to me.
The problem was, I think it was misinterpreted. Somehow, some crazy guy thought it would be really cool to shoot me in the ass.
I'm not sure if he meant this, but I know that a lot of people in the room at the time thought that's not a bad idea. Definitely solved the problem. That is Jay-Z's job.
I was really gonna volunteer maybe the animation programmer or one of our lead graphics programmers, but I need them to finish the game. Then I started looking at my art department, but we still have some art to finish for a bunch of other things. Started looking at my designers. Those guys are just cowards. Next thing you know, it's Friday afternoon, and I'm gonna be getting shot in the ass later. And I don't know how I feel about it.
When I found out that I won the raffle to shoot John Zamkoff in the ass, I was like, hell yeah. Who would turn down the opportunity to shoot their own boss in the ass?
I may have implied that it was a paintball we were shooting him with, but as it turns out, it's not a paintball we're shooting him with, so hopefully he won't be too disappointed. But it always sounds better if it doesn't come off the disc.
To be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of guns. I don't own a gun. I've never shot a gun before in my entire life. I took archery in high school. But in preparation for this, I did hold a couple guns. I did look at a couple rifles and stuff. I know a guy in Texas. He showed me his gun vault. Yeah, so I feel like I know what I'm doing today. No guarantees. Hopefully Jay-Z's on the PPO and not the HMO. What am I supposed to say?
It's gonna be all right.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
It's not gonna hurt. It's not gonna hurt.
Don't worry, Jay-Z. We got Doctor here.
Get that mic in
there real close.
Yeah. Good luck, buddy.
All right. You're not gonna hit us, right? I mean, we're good, right?
Dave, you ready?
We're rolling.
Mark, you ready?
Ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1, fire.
No! There was a lot of background noise. Can we do it again?
Yes.
Just kidding, just kidding.